not talk about family when family's all that we got. Everything I went through, you were standing there by my side. And now you gon' be with me for the last ride.
Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 28, Fast and Furious 6, Lap 3. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too, and this episode is brought to you by Conjure Cognac. Conjure, our product, is manufactured by the largest independent family-owned cognac firm in the world. Since 1863, and through 5 generations of family members, Conjure has cultivated a single-minded passion for crafting great cognac with their own style.
And that is, if I'm not mistaken,
yes.
Ludacris's cognac, right?
It is, and there was a bottle of it in this film. Did you see it?
I absolutely did.
Yeah.
There's also trivia about it that it was not, noteworthy enough to bring up later, but I made note of mentally, so
okay.
It's all coming together, Joe. It's all coming together.
Good.
This is the best movie that's ever been made. It's the best Fast and Furious movie by default because of such. Mike's going to be joining us a little bit later for the ride-along lap, but before we get there, we've got some opening activities. I've cracked my bottle of Conjure Cognac. Do you have yours? I have mine in my snifter.
On the rocks. Yeah, I'm going on the rocks.
Yeah.
Here, hold on. Can you hear it?
That's nice, sound effects.
Mm-hmm.
So the song "Pass the Crevassier" was about cognac, was it or was it not?
I think Crevassier is a type of cognac, right?
That's what I think. 'Cause in my head, they're combined. They're linked.
I don't think I've ever drank cognac.
Until tonight, of course.
Until tonight, yes.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. I feel like in my head, and this is probably wrong. It's very expensive, which I just googled. It's not. And it's also not for me. Well, I also don't drink hard liquor, really.
Yeah, you don't.
But it's also like I feel like it's a very specific.
What are you trying to say?
How do I say this without being racist? It's for black people. Traditionally, in the media.
I know why
music.
though. Do you know why?
Mm-mm.
I know exactly why, and I forget where I just read this, but I did. Because Hennessy was the first liquor that would buy ads in Essence magazine.
Oh, so they just
because all the other
liquor
companies
market.
were racist and wouldn't put ads in
Can you imagine being an ad exec in the 50s or the 60s or whenever that was, and being so racist that you're like, there's an entire untapped market, but fuck you, we don't want your money. Can you imagine being that hateful and vindictive a person? Be like, that all you have to do is just not even a good ad, just be like, hey, here's our thing, and people be like, oh yeah, cool, that's for me now.
Dude, yeah, it's crazy to me.
But just saying, fuck you.
So bad that we don't even want you to possibly drink this.
God, people are so dumb.
This
They're
isn't
so
that long
dumb.
ago, man. This is
no. Well, anyway, shout out Conjure Cognac for sponsoring this episode.
Delicious.
The official hard liquor of at least this episode of Too Fast, Too Forever. Who knows?
Yeah.
First up, we have extracurricular activities. Now, this is, again, we mentioned it last episode, peek behind the curtain. We did not record, there's not the full 2 weeks between recordings, but it's a little over 1 week. I've not done a ton of noteworthy stuff. I saw Captain Marvel.
Oh, I did too.
Liked it.
Did you like it? I really liked it.
I really liked it. It's an origin story. It's without
It's another one of
spoiling
these
anything
Marvel
for
movies,
listeners.
man. They're gonna be brain mush. I'm not super into them, just to get it out there. I like them for what they are. I'm not going to see it 15 times in a theater or anything like that.
Right.
I did go see Captain Marvel opening weekend though, so.
We did talk about how we both basically have a big crush on Brie Larson, that I've had a long-standing crush on Brie Larson.
I love Brie Larson.
That Chris podcasts, our guest from the
Second Lap
Tokyo Drift episode, would always refer to her as my waifu because he, likes Japanese things. I'm not sure. But that was, the one that you cherish above all others or something like that. So
yeah.
She's great. I mean, I love her. So
she was great in the movie too, dude. She was a great
really
character for it. So yeah, I enjoyed that.
But I do feel like by this point, when this episode comes out, 2.5 weeks after Captain Marvel came out, if you wanted to see it, you probably already have seen it. Or if you don't really care, you'll just wait for it on TV or whatever. But,
exactly. Yeah. If you were gonna see it, you probably saw it.
And then I hung out with some friends this past weekend. The more important thing, I have my fantasy baseball draft next weekend, which is still going to be before the next episode comes out. But I'll talk about it in the next episode.
Oh, thank God. I was getting nervous.
Oh no, it's it's going to be here. It's going to be at my house, so it's a very big deal.
Awesome. That's cool though.
But yeah, so I got some cool things coming up. But what about you? Anything you've done in the last 8 or 9 days of note?
I don't think I've really done anything of note. No. I'm just prepping because, as we mentioned, I'm going on vacation next week, which is why we're recording early. So I'll hopefully have lots of cool things to talk about when I come back, and also maybe some fun Fast and Furious adjacent kind of things to talk about too.
I know at least one of those, so yeah, absolutely. So hopefully, come back next episode for where our lives are not as I've had a fine weekend, 2 or 3 days. It's just
like
not
things that
worth
I did,
mentioning.
Rachel got another flat tire, so I plugged the tire, put it back on.
Was she me?
Yeah, you get a bunch of flat tires too.
I get so many flat tires, and I don't really drive.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She drives all the time now for work, so
yeah.
And a cool thing in she's at the Jack Daniels factory right now. Not to step on
Conjur's toes at
all. Yeah, but she's at the Jack Daniels factory, so.
Yeah, I remember that. So, well, shout out Rachel. Maybe Rachel will be on the next lap. I think we might bring her. We might have to call in the lefty out of the bullpen. Is she lefty?
She is a lefty. She is.
Calling the lefty out of the bullpen. Although, now that baseball, you give me shit for how much I like baseball or how much I talk about baseball or whatever. But you've watched more baseball this year than I have, because I've watched 0 so far. But I don't know if you've kept up with the changing rules. But they have.
I said that I heard that they mentioned them, but I didn't know what they were. You gonna tell me?
So the one of note that I'm mentioning right now is that you could, if you bring a pitcher in, I think it's either this year or next year, whenever they're rolling it out. The pitcher has to face 3 batters.
That's a good rule.
So there used to be these guys called loogies, Loogy, left-handed, 1 out
guy,
I think, something like that.
Okay.
So basically, it's like a lefty specialist who would come in and get one out, like face 1 batter.
Oh, this drives me nuts. As a casual person that might watch baseball, this drives me bananas, because it's like, okay, stop the game, bring a pitcher out, let him warm up. Okay, he strikes out 1 guy. It's like, okay, stop the game, bring another pitcher out. Yeah, it's useless. I'm so happy about this rule. That's cool.
So basically, and we've talked about this, not on the podcast, but on Facebook and stuff, that baseball's #1 goal is to make the game faster, make it more enjoyable to watch, make people and so it's they're cutting down time between innings, they're getting rid of this, they're doing other stuff that basically is just hey, let's try to get the game from being an hour average of 3 hours and 7 minutes to maybe an average of 3 hours or whatever, you know what I mean? Save
if you could get it to 2.5, that's a normal hockey game's 2.5, right? With no overtimes. And if it has a lot of stoppage, it's 3. Baseball starts at 3, and then you get extra innings and shit like that. The game is going too long, man.
Every once in a while, when you have a pitcher's duel or something, it's a tight 2 hour 6 minute game. It's why is this not the norm?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so shout out baseball. Opening day actually going to happen. There's the Japanese series next week. There's a series in Japan. It's, I think Oakland and Seattle or something. And then April sometime for actual opening day. So we'll be talking about that.
Cool.
In later episodes. But first, next up, we have Patreon, which is patreon.com/2fast2forever. Go there if you want to kick in a couple bucks, say hi, whatever you want to do. Help us support this quote-unquote art. And just, let us know that you love us.
Art Vandelay.
So, who is Art Vandelay?
It's George's alter ego. It's his...
On Seinfeld?
Yeah. He's Art
Vandelay. Because there is, or was, a burrito or something at Moe's Southwest Grill that was named the Art Vandelay. Maybe it was a quesadilla?
Yeah, he's in imports and exports. Or he was a latex salesman. Or an architect. But he's always Art Vandelay.
It just makes Moe's even cooler.
Yeah.
We also have... So before we get to the mailbag, we'll do the review check, which is our... if you... So, okay, so here we say this every time. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but in case somebody is listening to this episode for the first time, welcome, #1.
Glad you chose this as the first one. Good choice out of all of them. I don't know why you did, but...
The 6th one in lap... I mean, maybe they're just let me just check out the most recent episode.
Cool.
Oh, these guys are talking about baseball on the Fast and Furious podcast. I'll keep listening.
Maybe, yeah.
So if you don't want to, or you don't have the money, or whatever, don't want to support us on Patreon, which is totally fine, because we know that we're not going to make a living off this, you can go to iTunes or Google Play or Stitcher or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review. I'm going to go to iTunes right now, Joe.
Let's check it out.
We have 13 reviews, all 5 stars, but
same as last
nothing new.
Nope.
Yep, so the same thing.
Cool. This is going to turn into the Boy Do We Have podcast for you game real quick.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. What I can say, though, what we do have for sure is some new email.
Okay.
We have an email address here on the show, family@cageclub.me. Write in, let us know what you think of the episode.
Go ahead.
Check in if you've already checked in. If you're a new fan, say hi. Whatever you want to do, let us know your rankings. Let's see what we got. So first up, I got excited when I saw this because I was like, oh shit. And then I realized it was spam. But it's from Patreon. And it says, Adult Sugar replied to your comment.
Oh, who's Adult Sugar?
Back in December, I posted a link to our episode that we did with Kim Basine from Bloomberg.
Yes.
And I just said, we were joined by Kim Basine, blah, blah, blah. Adult Sugar just commented on that months later and just said,
Nice. I knew it.
So their Patreon is an 18-plus only Patreon, patreon.com/Adult Sugar. So I'm going to put this in here, Joe, if you want to take a look at it.
Is that kind of like an OnlyFans page, or like what?
Adult Sugar are creating hottest content ever. So
damn,
they have
that's a
13
fucking
patrons.
Hottest content
all of their
ever?
content is hidden. So it is the internet. I feel like with porn on the internet, you need the drug dealer approach. Like, you need to give a little bit.
What do you mean?
You need to get them hooked. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to support Adult Sugar flat out. I don't have a taste. How am I'm just supposed to blindly support this person?
I also have a feeling like this is someone that... Oh, no. There's patreon.com/Adult Sugar on the first thing. I have a feeling like this is someone that's, like, stealing cam girl content.
Oh.
And, like, reselling it is what
like the Fat Jewish of, instead of jokes, cam girls?
Yeah, that's been, like, a big thing in the Twitterverse through the past couple of months, so...
Yeah, that sucks, so... well, shout out Adult Sugar. Thank you for writing in.
13 Patreons, but cool.
I know, but that's still 12 more than we do, so we can't.
I'm not talking shit on it. I'm just saying, like,
maybe we should pivot.
You're selling nudes, like, and you only got 13, like, it's pretty. I mean, we're not slinging nudes out here. If I was selling dick pics, I would hope that I have at least 13 subscribers. I would set the price real low, but I'm saying, like, I would want 13 subscribers.
Okay. Well, write in family@cageclub.me. Would you subscribe to that? Maybe we'll just change the nature of our Patreon.
Totally pivot.
Next email is from Cassie Wilson. Shout out Cassie Wilson, especially
hello,
Patreon.
Cassie.
You know, I don't say it every time. I should say it every time because that is what she's paying for. But shout out Cassie Wilson. Thank you for being our lone true patron over there. She says, "Hey guys."
Hi, Cassie.
Oh, subject line, catching up.
Catch up. Go ahead.
"Hey guys, I've been trying to catch up on lap 3. Currently listening to Fast and Furious episodes, so number 4.
Okay.
I've been really busy with work, and I'm mad I missed my chance to send in my FF4 hot take. If you remember, last lap she wrote in a thing that says she's got this, idea about Fast and Furious number 4.
I do remember. Go ahead.
She says, hope this gets to y'all before FF6 recording, which it did.
Did?
Because I just realized my take can apply to this movie, too.
Okay.
She says, so the first time I watched FF4, I was so sad and mad that Letty died after the great opening scene.
Everyone was, yeah, I agree.
I know. I read that whole movie as not just Dom trying to figure out what happened and then trying to finish Letty's job to get freedom. I read the whole movie as Dom on a revenge mission. The entire arc of his character, to me, was him doing whatever it took to kill the people who killed Letty.
True.
And not just that, about halfway through the movie, I remember saying, is Dom trying to kill himself? He was making bad, dumb decisions and not working with Brian or sticking to the plan, which makes me think he didn't care about a pardon. He was ready to go at any time because his girl was gone. So, like, when he set off the bomb, when he got in Phoenix's face, and when he was jumping cars in the cave and driving super reckless.
It's kind of like a Romeo and Juliet type thing.
Yeah. This is different in the Dom character because after the first movie, he was playing very scared. When he gets to the U.S., he suddenly is not scared of cops or getting caught or seemingly his life. This is also confirmed for me when the conversation with Mia before they go to Mexico, when she says something along the lines of, he's not coming back, and it's the last time she'd see her brother. So I think this is what she's talking about, like, Dom, at the beginning of the movie, leaves, he doesn't want Letty to die, and then all of a sudden he gets to America and just is acting different, you know what I mean? Like, It's a different character altogether. She's interesting to know what y'all think of my hot take. Can't wait to catch up and get back on schedule. And she says, P.S. Oh, this is actually really cool. P.S. Not sure if y'all are aware, but Vin Diesel periodically does hashtag Toretto Tuesday, often captured Happy Toretto Tuesday. I know you release episodes on Tuesdays, so this hashtag would be perfect for the podcast and might draw in Fast and Furious fans that click on the hashtag when Vin posts.
Very good idea.
I've already reached out to Dan Colon, who does our morning Fast and Furious tweets and the morning, all the notes. I said, put this in there. I'm gonna put it on Instagram. Shout out Cassie. That's good looking out. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
good
tip. Thank you. We appreciate it.
So Cassie's saying, Dom leaves Letty, and I guess in his mind he's leaving Letty forever, right? Like he's just like, or at least for a while.
I think that it's that, but I also think that it's the like, I can relate to this in a sense that he loves Letty so much that if she's not there, his life has no meaning type situation. And like it's a lot of that, and we do see that a lot. Like whenever she's not around, he's like super reckless, which is something that I never pieced together, but he is like, he's way more reckless when she's not there. Like as soon as she's there, he's like, we need to do this by the book and like have a good plan and all this shit, where like otherwise he's just like, we'll fucking wing it, and I'm gonna be a dickhead for with this movie. So,
and I think she is right in that it also kind of applies to this movie because he's a little reckless in like whatever I need to do to get her back because I know that she's alive again, I'm going to do. And what I do like, and I think this is kind of unrealistic but also perfectly fits in with the world, and actually I don't think it was my pick for most family moment when we did it last lap, but in this movie when they capture Owen Shaw, right, like in the scene where Gina Carano turns heel and leaves with him,
yes,
you know, they call, or they say, why don't you call Mia, and Brian calls Mia, and it's, you know, Shaw's men are with her, exactly.
Yeah.
And Hobbs is like, we're going to let her go. Like, I feel like Hobbs saving Mia and Elena, in spite of, like, and letting, like, this most dangerous wanted criminal go, is kind of the most family moment of the movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's we firmly established that now The Rock is, like, part of the team. Because he's even skeptical of them at the beginning. Like, when Gina Carano's like, you know, do you trust these guys? And he's like, I don't know, we'll find out. You know, like, so he's like, he knows that he's part of their camp now. Yeah, good point.
So I think that was a very family moment for Hobbs. And I got some more thoughts about Hobbs and The Rock as an actor, and especially as it relates to Vin Diesel and Dom. We'll get to that either, you know, in new lap observations or also in the full episode. But yeah, Cassie, I think that's a really good, you know, we talk a lot about how Letty's not in these movies a ton, but it is.
It feels like she is, but she's really not.
It feels like she is. But also, you know, even though she's not in the fourth and she's, you know, against the family in this one.
So she's totally not in the fifth, right? My brain puts her in the fifth every time.
No, she's just in that post-credit, like she's in the picture in the post-credit scene.
Yeah, but she's not in the fifth movie at all.
What Cassie points out is, you know, worth noting is that, like, she's not here, but everything Dom's doing is because of her, one way or the other,
yeah,
right?
She's definitely the whole arc of this three-movie set. So.
Yeah, whether he is pulling his Hannibal and, you know, recreating crime scenes, or his, you know, Sherlock Holmes in Fast and Furious 4,
True.
Or doing whatever it takes to get her back in this one, she drives the emotion.
Drives as like the wind blows.
Drives like the wind blows. Okay, next email, Joe.
Yes.
New fan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Bring him aboard.
Justin Kleinman writes in. So, hello, Justin. He says,
Justin.
Subject line, loving the podcast.
Good. It'd be awkward if you sent us a hate email. I mean, I want them.
You beg for hate emails.
I beg for them, but it would be really awkward if Joey had to read it. I still want a true one, but go ahead. Be like, fuck you guys. I never want to hear your voices again. You suck. Like, okay, cool.
What we need to do, I think, and not that we ever have plans to start another podcast. I think this is ride or die. Like, this is it, you know, forever.
Yeah.
But I think to really get a hate email, if we ever start a new email, we have to go new podcast, we have to go real hard on the first episode. Because I feel like people are always going to come on in the most recent episode, but people also might start at the beginning. And so if people, you know, like early in the episode, if we're like, hey, we want a hate email, and they hate the show, then they might write in. But
True.
I feel
Good
like,
point. Yeah.
You know, 15, 20 minutes or whatever into this episode, it's episode
Way
28, it's the middle of lap 3,
yeah.
Like, no one's going to write us a hate email. Although, maybe you're hate listening, I don't know, family@cageclub.me.
Write it in, man.
Just say hi and say hate, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, says Justin. I've really been enjoying the podcast. I discovered it about a month ago, and I've been binging it, and now I'm all caught up. So that's you know, that's an
very impressive.
You know,
that was at a furious rate.
And fast and furious.
Why not? I was trying to give you the alley-oop.
I have so much I want to say, but perhaps I'll keep it short since I have infinite opportunities to email you all again, which, you know,
definitely do. Yeah,
yep.
As you've learned.
I'll start with my rankings, and actually this made me a while ago, like back in lap 2, I was writing down everybody's, you know, rankings, and then I sort of got away from it. So I started doing a little bit. I was bringing some in here. By the end of the lap, I want to, you know, ask on the Fate of the Furious episode, I want to ask Mike again for his final rankings. On our tune-up, I'm going to get our new rankings. And then I'm going to, you know, officially do the official rankings again.
Yes.
But I'm going to go back and listen to the people who I know that had seen every episode or every movie and get their takes. So, here's Justin's. Number 8, Fate of the Furious. He still bothers me that it wasn't marketed F8 of the Furious.
Okay.
Which, yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Number 7, Fast and Furious, so number 4. Number 6, The Fast and the Furious, the OG, which that's kind of low, but
that's really, that's low.
Each their own. I also do feel like his list overall is sort of in line with mine.
Okay.
And we'll as we get higher. Number 5, Tokyo Drift.
Okay.
Number 4, Furious 7. He said, I once heard See You Again start playing on the speakers at a gas station while I was filling up, and I started crying. Which,
that's awesome. I can relate, man. That's really cool.
Oh, one thing I do want to say is that at our fantasy baseball draft, everybody, because we do it all in person, and we have 2.5 minutes per pick, and we have like this whole like arrangement and everything, and everybody gets a draft song. So when they're when they're on the clock, their song plays.
Yeah.
You make the pick. The only song I know so far, and I need like 4. The only one I'm going to do so far is Danza Kuduro, because I just want to have that like energy. I want to get excited, make a pick, make a good pick.
It's a hype pick song.
I might do all 4 Fast and Furious songs. I don't know. We'll check back in if I remember on the next episode. But for sure, Danza Kuduro locked in.
It's a great song.
I don't think I've heard "See You Again" in the wild, but I don't know. Like if I just got caught off guard by that, like that would not be good.
I don't know. Like who's playing "See You Again"? Like I guess it has to be like some random radio station, right?
Kind of approachable hip hop because it's melodic. It's an Oscar-nominated song.
Yeah, but it's sad. Like it's sad as fuck.
I know. Who knows?
Okay.
Number 3, Too Fast, Too Furious. He says, over the last year, I've just kept coming back to it and have so much fun with it. So that's...
We love it. I agree.
Very high. I really like it, but I was like, that's,
It's really high, yeah.
Shout out. Number 2, Fast 5, and number 1, Fast and Furious 6. So this movie, welcome aboard, Justin. You have written in for the exact right time, your favorite movie. Hopefully, we do it justice.
Hopefully we do it justice. If not, try again next time.
He says, now a few random thoughts. I really enjoyed the shows where you had women guesting. They brought some great different perspectives to the show, which I agree.
Yes, I agree too.
Which Lap 5 is going to be all Cara Gale-Regan. She is of the Wistful Thinking podcast. She's never seen any of these movies, so that's going to be a wildly different perspective.
Yeah, woman and never seen any of the movies. She's actually saving herself for us.
I do want to... I just feel like these movies, I don't like. I also, so number 1, I don't know a lot of people who have seen all the 8 movies, like men or women. You know what I mean? I feel like we've kind of tapped a lot of those people, but I would love to have more, more women, more
even
more
ones that haven't seen all of them. Doesn't matter, man.
Especially the early ones. Like I want to make a conscious effort. So I want to bring Rachel on. I want to bring in if Liam wants to come back, I want to bring him on with Amanda, who is his co-host on that New Criterion Crack podcast. Try to have like 3 or 4 episodes a lap where we have a female voice, because even when Aislinn bullies you into maybe not liking a movie, it's at least nice to have a different perspective.
I agree.
I read once that Corona was never courted or paid for product placement. Rob Cohen just used it because it's what the people in the scene drank. So that's cool.
I wonder if he means like that's what the actors wanted to drink, or if that's what.
No, I think it's like the racing scene, like people who like actual like tuner scene.
Oh, okay. That's cool. That makes sense.
I guess it could be read as like that's what Vin Diesel wanted to drink, but I feel like it's just more like that's true and authentic to the culture, especially since Rob Cohen, in the first movie, wants to sort of make it as like appeal to that demographic, be like, oh shit, they even got that right. Like look at the details. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's something that as non-street racers, I don't know if it's true or not, but I believe it. You know what I mean? Like. I didn't see Coronas. It was like, oh, damn, street racer drinks.
Thank you for not being shy talking about the disturbing Rob Cohen news. I'm curious as to why you haven't mentioned the reports that came out regarding Paul Walker and his ex, Jasmine Pritchard Gosnell.
I don't know
them. And the discovery that she was just 16 when they started dating when he was 33 years old, which I feel like we maybe knew. I think in I Am Paul Walker,
we heard it or talked about it. There's so many actors.
He says before her, he dated another girl, Aubriana Atwell, who was also just 16 at the time. Disappointing news to be read for sure. Yeah, that's not great.
It's not. It's not something that I condone. I think that there's a huge maturity age gap in people in general. Like, 18 to 21 is a huge age gap for me.
Yeah.
Like, that's, like, just a way different emotional place to be in.
I feel like, whether you're, say, starting college, finishing college, finally get a real job, finally get your first apartment, like, all these things are, like, a couple years apart, but, like, there's so, like, living on your own,
steps.
or, like, actually having a real job where you can support yourself, or, like, like, looking to buy a house, or getting, like, a relationship, whatever it is, like, there are wild, and I know that, there's a scale, and people vary, and, like, you can be the most mature person in the world, you can be 18 years old, or whatever, but I agree, like, just life experience, and, like, what you grew, especially, like, even like stupid stuff like pop culture references, like how do you connect with somebody who's like half your age? Like you just grew up with different shit. Like I don't get it.
I told you the story that one night one of my friends has a younger girlfriend who's of age. It's they're totally fine.
I know of this person.
Yes, and one night we were playing Cards Against Humanities, and she pulled a card, and it was Snick at Night, and she said, "What is Snick?" And the whole room just went quiet.
Well, like at a wedding that we went to last year, my friend brought a date, and she did not know that The Rock was a movie, and we all gave her shit. She's like, The Rock's not a movie, and we're like, what?
The Rock.
And, you know, The Rock is one of my friend's favorite movies, and I was just like, oh, this is not going to work out. And it did not work out, so, but yeah.
That's a great end to that story.
Not because of that, but it was just like, this is not meant to be.
On the note of the, weird dating age gap.
Yeah.
I saw, the Michael Jackson documentary just came out.
I've not watched it yet, so no spoilers.
No spoilers. I
know what the premise is, that they interviewed two people who allege that he assaulted them or sexually abused them while they grew up.
There was that, and then we just had the R. Kelly one. Did you watch the Lifetime one?
No, I know about it. I also saw highlights of his interview.
Yes, with Gayle King. Yeah.
Whew.
Anyways, so people were talking about this online, and one of the comments was, "Why haven't we canceled Woody Allen yet?"
I think we kind of tried to. I just think that, like,
the whole Woody Allen thing, that he
of course
is married to his stepdaughter, and like, how fucking weird is that? And
stepdaughter,
it's just,
step granddaughter,
stepdaughter.
Okay,
Who's very, very young compared to him, but
right.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's a weird thing, man. It's something that I wouldn't do. It's something that I don't condone, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I don't know what to do about it.
I don't know, but I also want to go back to Justin's email for a second. Like,
go ahead.
Dating a 16-year-old, not great when you're 33, but I also don't want to compare it to the horrific things that Rob Cohen. I know he was just sort of lumping the two things in there, but like,
yes,
dating an underage girl and psychologically and sexually abusing a child for years.
People would argue it's not far off, man, but we don't know. We don't know. Yeah, I wasn't in either of these places to make full judgment.
So he says, I don't want to end on a downer, so I've attached a few pics for you that I took when I visited LA and saw the Toretto House Diner and ate at Neptune's Net. Keep up the great work. I look forward to listening forever. And he's from Minneapolis, so shout out, Justin. Hopefully, maybe you're a Vikings fan just like me, so Skull Vikings. But that's, if you are, I'm so sorry.
Minneapolis is dope. It's a really cool city.
So here are some pictures that I'm putting in here right now. So the first one is of Toretto's Meat Market, which is now Bob's Market, or Toretto's Cafe, right?
God, I want to go there so bad.
This next one that I'm putting in here.
I like the water machine out front, or the water, vending machine.
The refill station or whatever?
Yeah. That's going to be our party.
1327, which is where our party is going to be in 8 years.
Exactly.
1327. So hopefully that's on Airbnb, or otherwise we're going to have to, that's what the Patreon's for, guys. If you want us to have a party in 8 years, that's for that. And then here's a picture of, it looks like him and maybe his family eating at Toretto's Cafe. So
I want to go there. No, this is it. This is Neptune. This is Neptune's...
Neptune's Net, sorry. Him and his family eating at Neptune's Net, which, we talked about recently. That was in a whole bunch of movies. Point Break, the first movie.
We need to do a Point Break fucking detour.
Oh yeah, I think so. I was also, I was moving some stuff around, like when I was looking at the rankings before condensing some documents into one, and I was like, oh, we have all these pit stop ideas.
Yeah.
We got to figure out. I sort of don't want to. I don't want to slow down from one of these every 2 weeks, so maybe we just add another movie in every once in a while. Who knows? But
yeah, who knows?
I don't want to put too much on our plates, but hockey season's coming to an end, so maybe there's more time, or we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Nothing but time.
Nothing but time.
So shout out, Justin. Thank you for writing in.
Thank you for writing in. We love hearing from new fans. So if you want to write in again, do it. If not, that's okay too, but check in sometimes. Otherwise, I'm going to wonder where you went.
Family@cageclub.me. Just let us know you're still listening. We see the download numbers, but I don't know who actually downloads.
Or listens, yeah.
Yeah. Last email from Wes. Han and Gisele forever. What up, fam? Yes, this was a Google suggestion. So thank you, Wes, for continuing to fight that good fight and letting Google write your emails for you. Excellent new lap observations last episode. Fast 5 is such a classic. It's hard to go wrong talking about that movie. I'm rushing this one because it's been kind of hectic around here with South by Southwest, which, by the way,
true.
My sister's living in Austin, as I think I've talked about, and, like, she's living her best life. Let me just tell you, her work bought her a badge, and she is having the greatest week and a half. And she's just sending me all these, like, snaps, and her Instagram's great, and just, like, she's doing stuff for work, but she's also seeing all these concerts, and, like,
that's cool.
All these events and everything, and, like, she's just having a great time. So.
I saw a really funny meme the other day that was like, how long does a girl have to live in Austin before she can complain about South by Southwest?
Oh, well, I was complaining, I'm not a girl, but I was complaining the first year, because everything gets so expensive, and the only thing that really the one thing that bothered me the most was that the Alamo Drafthouse Ritz, which is on 6th Street, which I'm sure Wes knows, which is where I used to go to Terror Tuesday and Weird Wednesday. It's like it's downtown There's only 2 screens. It's where they have special events. It's where they have, it's just a regular movie theater, though, otherwise.
Okay.
And every Tuesday and every Wednesday, they would have like a $3 movie that they would just show like a bad horror movie or an exploitation movie or whatever. It was cool. It was like great. It was curated. They have a host really into it, talk about it. There was a parking lot behind the theater.
Uh-oh. Alamo Drafthouse parking lots.
Oh, yes.
Excited.
But this is not owned by the Alamo Drafthouse. But
okay.
yes.
Just,
you got but I would recognize that by sight because it's very slanted, and I've parked there a lot.
Good.
It used to be $3 to park there at night, then it became $5, which is still fine. I go there once during South by just to go to Terror Tuesday. He's like, yeah, $50 to park. I was like, go fuck yourself.
$50 to park?
Yeah, because it's right downtown. Like, you can go from anywhere. But I was just like, fuck off. Like, that's ridiculous. And so that was the one time I was like, South by, like, you can go screw. And also, taking an Uber to the airport used to cost me like $20, $25. And an Uber during South by was $120. And I was just like, what? It's just like little things like that. Like, I don't mind because Austin's already overcrowded. Always, like, things are always going on. Like, I don't mind the extra people. When I was living there, I loved living in a place where things were happening. Like, that's why I moved there. It was just like, why are you gouging just because you can? Like, it doesn't seem
because you can.
Ethical.
This is your one chance to do it, man.
That's why. That's the only time I ever complained about South by. But yes, there's all sorts of reasons to complain about it. But anyway, shout out Wes. I hope you're enjoying South by. He says also getting ready for St. Patrick's Day. Plus, my work is on a shutdown next week, which means I've been extra busy getting ready to be off for a week. Here are my new episode observations.
We can high five on vacation together.
That's something that I've noticed. I don't think I talked about it here, but I love taking a week off work. But what I hate about it is that the week before
and the week
you're doing
after
2 weeks of work, right?
And the week after, yeah.
You're also doing 2 weeks of work. Like, somehow you're doing more work because you went away.
I agree, man.
He says, first off, hi, Jenny. Nice to get a shout out from another super fan. Hopefully, we can meet up in 2027 at the barbecue at Dom's house. Well, patreon.com/2fast2forever. Let's make it a reality.
We're going to do it. We are.
The Always Sunny Patty's Pub exterior I mentioned last episode is actually a pretty commonly used exterior in LA. Shown up in a bunch of shows like Parks and Rec, Sons of Anarchy, The League, Criminal Minds, etc. So maybe it doesn't say Patty's Pub, it might just be the outside of the bar, but yeah. Joe, I feel you on misspelling Hobbs. I spelled it with the extra E for a long time. Even now, I need to remind myself to leave it off.
Yes, it's just habit, man. Sorry. And, like, nobody sees what I type besides Joey anyways.
I know, but
I'm not saying Hobbes when I say it, so.
Hobbes.
Yeah.
That's the Spanish Hobbes?
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of names, you talked about Gisele not being named in this movie. I'm pretty sure she isn't named until the 6th movie. Wow. So if you didn't watch the credits, that's 2 movies with an unnamed Gal Gadot. So.
Wow.
So I like that she doesn't have a name until she dies. Shout out, rest in peace.
Where's Gisele?
Where's Gisele at, String? Where's Gisele at?
Oh my god.
I can't wait for you to get to the commentary lap because Justin Lin's commentary on the train stunt sequence is wild. All I'll say is it just proves how even massive multi-million-dollar films have to get creative and cross their fingers that things will work out sometimes. And I have a little bit of trivia about this movie and a stunt in here that we'll get to when Mike joins us a little bit. But
okay,
Justin Lin, we talked about last episode, really wants to make the practical happen as opposed to CGI. And yes, I guess we'll find out. But maybe they have to get lucky. So whatever happened, we will find out eventually. It worked out well because it was beautiful.
True.
You talked a little about how you feel like Reyes was a step down from Sonny Chiba's villain in Tokyo Drift, but I don't think that's necessarily true. We don't really know the extent. Oh, I think he was talking about like hierarchically. Remember, he was saying like Sonny Chiba is like the top, and then Reyes is sort of in the middle somewhere. We don't really know the extent of Sonny Chiba's pull, and it might be hard to compare because their organizations run differently. True. But consider the fact that it's made very obvious that Reyes runs the entire city, including the entire police force except one cop, apparently, Elena. And not in a secretive backroom deal way. He is king of Rio in all but name. Plus, Sonny Chiba wasn't really the villain of Tokyo Drift. He just stepped in when his nephew couldn't handle his business. I will say Sonny Chiba's character is a much more intimidating figure to me, though, and I'm going to add that Sonny Chiba is just fucking badass. Like, he's just
he's really cool anyways, yeah.
In my mind, he's the top. He's the big bad.
Yeah.
What if, like, because Mike, we talked about last episode, we'll talk about it again tonight, about how, like, Braga is linked to Shaw, is linked to Cypher, right? And, like, there's all this stuff. But what if, like, in 10, or whatever the last one in, like, the main franchise is, like, it all comes back to Sonny Chiba. It's just, like,
it's him the whole time.
Is he still alive? I think he is, right?
I think so.
Sonny Chiba. Yeah, he's 80 years old. He just turned 80, but he's still alive, so.
Be pretty badass if he was, man. Yeah, I want them to come back and be like, even, like, from the beginning, they were slinging, camera. It was, like, all God's Eye in prep. like the DVD players were just like part of God's eye somehow to like wire all the homes with DVD players or something. Just full circle.
Bring it all together. It's all family or something.
One family, yep.
I always thought it was just a weird oversight that Tej talks about wanting to open a garage when we know he had one back in 2F2F, but now, in light of considering Fast and Furious as a proper sequel to the Fast and Furious, you can look at it as Justin Lin just completely ignoring that 2F2F ever happened. Other than explaining a little bit of Brian and Roman's backstory, throwing at 2F2F solves more problems than it causes, or maybe Justin Lin hated it so much he just gave up watching it halfway through and had no idea Tej had a garage, which that would be such a weird move, like such a weird power trip, but yeah.
That'd be pretty badass, man. That's something that I could see myself doing. If I got to a point where like they were like, okay, we want you to do this movie, and you're just like so badass, you'd be like, fuck it, I'm not even gonna watch the first one.
I don't have an hour 45. Who are you kidding?
Exactly, man. That's what I'm saying.
Wes says, excellent celeb guessing game. It was appropriately uncomfortable listening to Mike squirm for the whole game. I guessed A-Rod pretty quickly on that last one, but to be fair, I'm not a sports guy and even less of a baseball guy, so I really only know the like two baseball players, which I guess came in handy this time, which was our whole point. Like we're
it was a really easy one, and Mike knows baseball.
Like if you don't, So if you don't know and yeah, Mike's nephew loves baseball. Like he talks all the time about how his nephew like knows all the baseball players, talks to him all the time about baseball, whatever. But if you don't know baseball, you know A-Rod, you know Derek Jeter, you probably know Barry Bonds, maybe Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa just from that 1 year,
Sammy
20
Sosa
years ago. Then that's if you don't know more than that, like I understand. Like there's probably a handful more that I'm missing. Like you maybe Mariano Rivera, maybe wherever you
Babe
are,
Ruth.
some local hero. Yeah, historically, sure. You know A-Rod. Like A-Rod transcends the sport in terms of fame.
Yeah.
He's just like I don't know, Bernie Williams? It's like, no, Mike, come on.
Yeah.
Love you, Mike.
We do, man. It was so funny though. Oh god.
He says that's really it for this episode. I've got a car for you below. Hopefully this one will be a little tougher than last week's. Keep up the good work, and as always, stay furious, Wes. So we'll come back to that one later.
Drive like the wind
shout
blows,
out,
Wes.
Thank you, Wes, for writing in. Email, anybody wants to email, family@cageclub.me. We'll read at the top of the episode. Next time, you basically have 2.5 weeks to write in.
Yeah, you got time.
We'll talk on the Furious 7 episode, or David Furious, or Pit Stop, or Next Lap, or whenever. So
you forgot the most important one.
Well, we don't do mail on You Are My Lifeline, Lifespan.
You Are My Lifespan. Oh, God, I can't wait. I'm dying to know what happened in Chapter 3. Okay.
Well, we haven't even gotten to Chapter 2 yet.
We didn't? We only did one?
No, we just did one. It was so long ago. We only did one. I know.
I think I read ahead, so I know what happens in Chapter 2.
Oh, okay. Cheater. All right.
I need to read ahead to prep anyways, so okay. Good.
It's fine. I honestly don't care. I could not care less if you read ahead in that, but okay. On the streets. So I looked back at the news, and I didn't find anything. I did find one thing I want to talk about. So GameSpot, the video game website, did all 11 Fast and Furious titles, not movies, titles, ranked by how awesome they are. And I was like, 11? That's weird. So here's the intro.
Okay.
There's a new Fast and Furious movie coming to theaters this year, kind of. Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham have their own spin-off in the curious title Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. That got me thinking about the rest of the franchise and some of the ridiculous names it puts to work. With 8 other movies and even a couple of theme park attractions, the Fast and Furious series doesn't exactly follow the rules of what to call sequels. It pretty regularly swings for the creative fences, which I would not agree. Like, I already find the premise of this flawed. Like, love the movies. The titles are not great.
No, they're all kind of Fast and Furious related. They're not super creative.
Sometimes it's a home run, other times, though, it's just plain bad. How bad, you wonder? I'm glad you asked. Given my... This is bullshit. This is some real bullshit right here. Given my self-proclaimed status as the foremost Fast and Furious franchise expert on this planet, nope. I'm calling you out right now here, Chris E.
I don't think you're in the top 10. I don't think I'm in the top 10.
You... Just in terms of people, you've probably seen the movies more, Wes has seen the movies more, and I'm probably up there...
We're going to get there one day, brother. I'll drag you up by your collar.
I've deeply examined the catalog of films in the series and ranked the titles myself. So he's like, I looked at the movies, and then I just looked at their titles, and here's the ranking of the titles. So,
cool.
Okay.
Yeah, good for him.
So join me, family, as we look at every Fast and Furious movie title ranked from worst to best with a couple of surprises along the way. So I'm not going to read the descriptions, but here they are in order. So number 11, Fast and Furious 6. He says, this one's just boring, which, okay.
Fair.
But like,
okay.
Number 10... The Fast and the Furious Extreme Close-Up, which was a theme park experience from 2006. It was based on the cars of Tokyo Drift and included them dancing to Daddy Yankee's Gasolina, which sounds awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to see that, actually.
Number 9, Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. Number 8, Fast and Furious Supercharged. So, okay, so if Supercharged is like a cool idea, is your number 8, what is number 1?
I have no idea. Keep going.
Number 7, The Fate of the Furious, which again, I feel is cooler.
Fate is like top tier for them, like having fun with it, you know?
Number 6, Furious 7. Number 5, Fast
How is
and
Furious
Furious
7 any different than Fast and Furious 6?
I don't know, man.
Okay.
Number 5, Fast and Furious, which is number 4. Number 4, The Fast and the Furious, the original one.
Okay.
Number 3, Fast 5. Number 2,
Okay.
Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Number 1, Too Fast, Too Furious. There you have it, the gold standard of Fast and Furious movies. In case you somehow couldn't tell, it's the second installment of the franchise. And if you missed the note the first time, don't worry, the title says it all again. Too Fast, Too Furious may not be the best movie of the franchise, but it certainly has the coolest title, even though it's completely nonsensical. Well, I
That's just
agree in
wrong.
that we took our name from it. However,
I think this is just
no,
utterly wrong.
I just say no.
Yeah. How? I too much to say about.
I don't want to be petty because we're all family, but stick to your lane. Stay to video games.
Stay in your lane. It's very appropriate. I liked how, little racing reference. It's pretty good.
We're also going to do now Rock the Vote. I'm going to Google Dwayne Johnson
No,
president.
I got a fucking good news story.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, Tyrese Gibson is going to be in the Marvel's Morbius movie opposite
know what
Jared
that is.
Leto.
Okay.
It's like a Marvel anti-hero movie with a living vampire, and this is big news. Slated to hit theaters July 31st, 2020. We'll follow this for a few months until it gets canceled. Tyrese and
Yeah.
Jared Leto are going to be in a Sony-produced Marvel movie.
Well, I mean, Sony's had such a great track record with Marvel movies with...
Exactly.
Oh, boy. Okay. So I just Googled Dwayne Johnson president. No news. He's still not running for president, even though it seems like everybody else is. Also, shout out West. Beto O'Rourke, now running for president.
Yeah.
Repping the TX across the country. Found this one story. Dwayne Johnson trying to get his daughter to say he's smarter and better looking than Obama is everything. So it's a terrible clickbait title. But The Rock apparently put a video up on Instagram of trying to get his 1 or 2 year old child to say who's better looking and smarter. And she takes a while to answer. He jokes, "You've got to answer quick, honey. Instagram," because 15 seconds or 30 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, who's smarter and better looking, Dada or President Obama? So The Rock's still not running for president, but now
Political,
calling out past presidents.
He's dipping his toe in.
Sure.
He's wiggling it around a little bit with that. So who knows?
I still want a Dwayne Johnson, Charlize Theron ticket, but I don't think she's eligible because she was born in South Africa. But alas,
You a Charlize Theron birther over here?
no, she's not. She's not legally allowed to be president because you have to be born. You have to be born here.
True. I know. I was just kidding.
But yes, I am a birther. Show me the certificate. Also, if you just want to say hi, Charlize, email family@cageclub.net.
If you're listening.
Also, we did a whole
Email
podcast about you. Why didn't you write in that one? I don't like those movies. I like these movies. Okay.
Cool.
Last thing before we take a quick break: new lap observation.
Oh,
So,
I
what
got
was
some
your
good
what was your
ones.
one takeaway here that you never noticed before we bring
Oh.
in Mike? What's the one thing you want to talk about?
I have a really, really cool one. When Han and Gisele are in Hong Kong, I think Wes told us last time, right?
Yes.
When they're-
yes. Mm-hmm.
Because I thought it was Singapore, but it's Hong Kong, I think. They have 2 motorcycles, okay, that they had pulled up on. They
Okay.
don't show you driving them, but they were there, parked next to them.
Yep.
Gisele has like a sport bike. Han has a Harley.
Okay.
The Harley is in the exact same paint scheme as his Mazda from Tokyo Drift.
Ooh, very, very cool.
Yeah, it's like orange and black. It's like the exact same colors. And when I saw it behind him, I was like, oh, fuck, that's really cool.
There's another Tokyo Drift connection that we'll get to when I get to the
Okay.
trivia later, but that's not the only connection this movie has to Tokyo Drift, but I really, really like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
My thing, the little one that I'm going to mention here, we'll see that we've talked about, I think, every lap. We're going to talk about it again tonight because I'm sure Mike loves it because you and I both love it. But when Roman is comparing their crew to the British crew, right, and talking about Brian's the prettiest blonde he knows,
Yeah.
he's running his mouth, he's just saying all this stuff, and Gisele is, right next to him, just working on a gun, does not give a shit about what he's saying.
Yeah.
Just all business. I was like, that's so, military background, all this different stuff, just does not care,
She doesn't care.
Roman,
Man. No fucks.
the first time she met Roman, he was hitting on her. So I guess it's just I'm not going to talk to him. I just don't need to. We're coworkers, but he can run his mouth. I got other things to do. And I just thought that was such a cool little character moment in not doing something. She was saying a lot, I think. So cool.
Yeah, I like that one. Good call.
So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to bring in the Mikestir. We're going to, shout out again to our cognac sponsor, Conjure Cognac, which we'll, do another little plug in the break after the break. But stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Too Fast, Too Forever. Fastest and longest and infinitest, is that a word? Podcast about Fast and Furious.
But don't ask GameSpot about it.
This is Lap 3, episode the 6th one, about Fast and Furious 6. It's brought to you by Conjure Cognac. With 180 acres in the smallest and rarest AOC crew borderies.
Ocasio-Cortez?
Apparently. Renowned for producing eau de vie, with an intense floral bouquet and excellent aging qualities. It is an unbreakable bond between the land, the traditions, and the men who live on it, and that helps craft superb cognacs. So thank you, Conjure Cognac.
Thank you, Conjure Cognac.
Delicious.
Sniffing it up on the rocks. Joe, do you still have some rocks you can kick around on Mike again?
Yes,
Perfect. Shout out Conjure Cognac. With us today, sniffing the Courvoisier, passing the Courvoisier, back to and fro, like it was a basketball on a basketball court.
You a rapper?
We have our...
What the fuck was that intro? Okay.
I don't know, just thinking what people pass back and forth.
Okay.
I'm not trying to rhyme, I'm just trying to,
lots of rhymes. Okay.
metaphors? I don't know. You're welcome.
Thanks.
With us is our resident historian, our ride-along expert, the 6th episode in a row that he's been on, Mr. Mike Manzi, the Mikester. Hello, Mike.
Hello, guys. May I just say real quick that I never feared death or dying. I only fear never trying. I am whatever I am, and only God can judge me now.
One shot,
1,
2 night,
2, 9.
3 strikes.
Yeah.
Go for it. I forgot. I messaged Joe. The opening credits to this might be my favorite credits in any movie. Like, they're just like, I understand that like the Superman opening credits are basically a 10-minute Rube Goldberg machine in a way, but like there's so much beautiful nostalgia here that it's like a celebration of joy in the same way that at the end of Furious 7, spoilers, Mike, if we haven't gotten there yet, but at the end of Furious 7 when they do the farewell to Paul Walker, it's beautiful and like it's celebrating him. But this is just like, remember the series, like remember these movies. Like, this is the culmination of everything, and I just love it so much. And these opening credits are just so good. So, Mike, thank you for referencing the credits in a way by quoting that opening song.
Yeah, definitely. This series has some great songs, and this is among one of my favorites in the entire series. It just always gets me charged up to watch this movie. And,
Supercharged?
Yeah, supercharged, exactly. And I agree with everything you said about like the sort of flashback sequence that we get. It's just terrific that we can reference so many adventures up into this point. It's really cool.
I love it. I do. I had like a bunch of notes. Like I think like every time we watch this movie, I have a note that's like, oh fuck these opening credits.
Yeah. But before the opening credits, we get I always get faked out by this. I think it's the race from the end of the last movie we're seeing, but it's the race into the hospital because Brian's baby's born.
Mike, I've talked about on previous laps about how at the end of Fast 5, like that race that they want to have, right? Like it's kind of like the end of Rocky 3, the beginning of Rocky 4, like that third fight that we don't see between Rocky and Apollo. Just like, oh, they raced again, but we don't know who won.
Yeah.
Until the Creed version of this comes out, until we've got Baby Brian, whatever, and then we talk about I knew your dad. My dad raced him.
Well, yeah, it'll be Dom's son and Brian's son meeting each other. And
Show it'll be like the Gosby Beyond the Pines.
The Gosby Beyond the Pines. Oh yeah, that's right.
That's
I would have thought it was the place beyond the Gauze, but it's
no.
Okay.
We tried a bunch of them.
Yeah,
it works.
Gosby Beyond the Pines is what sticks though. Gosby on the Gauze. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I've got no either or questions for you tonight, Mike, because I feel like some of these could apply here, but I feel like they more so apply to the next movie. Like half of it is an option that comes up in Furious 7. So we're going to skip this for now.
Okay.
To kick things off the question before we just freeform talk about the movie, let's do our car racing scenes. Who do you want to ride with?
Ooh.
What scene do you want to be a part of? Let's get right to it. Let's get to the heart of the matter here. Mike, we'll let you go first. What scene do you want to be a part of? Okay. And which character in this movie do you want to take a ride with?
Okay, so I definitely was thinking about this while I was watching it. I want to be in the scene with the tank at the end on the freeway, and I want to be driving the car that Dom crashes into when he catches Letty in the air. and
Ooh,
and they
the
just
hood?
like
Yeah.
and they just like cut to me, and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, and your eyes
Yeah.
just are like huge. You know, you're just like, oh, and like that's it. Oh, that'd be
Yeah.
that's a great extra scene right there. Like to be that guy. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
And then Mike, who do you want to drive you around? Which character do you want to just hop a ride with?
So I don't think I picked this character yet. I think it's only his second movie. I don't think I picked him in the last movie. But I want to be in Hobbs with Hobbs this time, in that like giant like half a monster truck he's driving. Like that thing is crazy. That's really
Gurkha.
cool, and it's got Riley Hicks is in there until we find out that she's Team Shaw. Like she's really badass in this. So I wanna roll with the fuzz.
Ooh.
Cool. Well, you mentioned the Gurkha, the LAPV, which was from Zimbio. Joe, did you catch? There was a quote in here that I never knew what movie it was from, where Hobbs in this movie says, "There's never nothing. There's always something."
Yes, I did catch
And I
it
was
this
like,
time,
oh, shit,
and
Zimbio.
I didn't know why I knew the quote, but he said it, and I heard it in my head, and I was like, "Damn, I've heard that quote before somewhere." And I was trying to think of like if it's like I was like, "Why do I know it?" And I was thinking that it was like somebody else said it, like it was like a really famous like presidential quote or something. And I was like, "No, that doesn't make sense." And then like I just took it out of my brain. But yeah, I noticed it, but I didn't notice it like until you just pointed it out.
What I think is funny about that is that the quiz is supposed to be like maybe it's a good sign of the quiz. I don't know, but it feels like the quiz is supposed to help you determine which character you are, right? Like
Yes.
it's supposed to be like not overtly. You want to be like, who do you love? Letty, Mia, Don. Like it's just like not like that. But I feel like if you want to have Hobbs. Like that's not the defining Hobbs quote, even by a mile. Like if you don't want to have like I will beat your ass like a Cherokee drum. Like I understand that you don't want to give it away.
Put on your thunderwear.
But that's the quote you go with.
I guess I don't know.
Real weird, man.
Strange.
All right, Joe. What about you? Those are very good selections by Mike. What car do you want? Like which car scene do you want to be a part of, and who do you want to drive you around in this movie?
I definitely want to. I have to be on the runway. I gotta. So like I need like full speed for 65 minutes of runway time. So that's the scene that I want to be in. Who
Yeah.
do I want to drive me around? See, we don't see this in the movie, but I want to ride on the back of Gisele's motorcycle with her. She's driving, but I'm on the back of the motorcycle. So that's what I
Nice.
think I'm going to go for this time.
I like that they got motorcycles back in on this.
Oh, Mike, you didn't hear it, but I pointed out to Joey my new lab observation was that Hans Harley is the same color scheme as his Mazda in Tokyo Drift. It's like orange and black in like the same ways. So
Very
next
cool.
time you watch this movie, pay attention for it.
Well, I got it on in the background right now, so.
So when you get to that point, just look at his motorcycle.
I like, Joe, that every one of these games now is just you getting close to Gisele somehow. Like it's just like, oh, I want to ride around with I want to be in the scene where Giselle's sitting on my lap. I want
She's
to be
in it.
on the back of her motorcycle.
Exactly. There's nobody else that I'm gonna pick if Gal's an option.
Joe
Okay,
too,
so
but like you're like starting to me to feel like Roman and Tej combined into one at sometimes when this.
what? Just because of my love of Gal?
Yeah, or no, I mean I don't know. It's
Just
fun.
goofiness in general.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
It just feels like It just feels like the three of you would have a fun time, a fun night out together.
I think that we would have a great time together. So, Tyrese and Ludacris, if you're listening, write in to family at
cageglove.me. I mean, if anybody out there. So here's the thing. So if you can connect us with anybody, literally anyone from any of these movies, like whether you like catering on Fast Five or whatever, like
Oh, I'm
if you
down.
know
I would
someone
talk all
who's in
about
these
catering.
movies, we would talk either as a bonus episode or a full episode or whatever. I just want to talk to anybody. Like I want to know more about the lore behind these movies.
Same, yeah.
Email family at cageglove.me. Hook
should-
us up. We'll
Dude,
get
we
in
should
touch.
find the catering companies in the credits and just email them. Somebody got to work for one of. I don't know. I guess catering has high turnover, but who knows?
I don't know I don't know which answer this is. I think it's going to be the scene specifically.
Go ahead.
I want to be somehow in the flip car.
I was thinking how I could ride along in one of those, but
I feel like the flip car is very carefully designed to not allow more than one person in there.
I don't think so either.
that's why there's
Maybe
two
just-
of them.
I get it, but
I'd
I'll
also be
allow it.
flipped. I think it'd be cool to be flipped, maybe safely in a roll cage. But I think because you guys talked about the two huge action scenes, which actually here's a little bit of trivia for you guys. We got some good trivia here for Fast and Furious 6. This movie was originally envisioned as
Okay.
two movies.
Oh.
That the first one's going to end at the tank scene, and and the second one was going to end at the runway scene.
The second one was going to be
sort of feel,
just
like,
the runway scene for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know, because like you can kind of feel it, because like after the tank scene, like there's like this sort
It does
of
feel
like
like it's going to end. I agree.
relief, like because there's the scene where like Han and Gisele are like, where are we going to go now? And then then there's the double cross and things go, and then but like 10 minutes later they're on the runway. You know what I mean? Like it's very quick.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably like they're like, well, we can just sort of combine these and then just do back to back, which is crazy. But also feels kind of like how the Mission Impossible movies are just like, hey, that scene that we're going to advertise where Tom Cruise is hanging off the outside of an airplane? That's how our movie starts.
But then also the stuff with like Brian going to prison also feels like, oh yeah, maybe that was from the next movie, or that got truncated as well. So now that you mentioned that,
true.
it could have been two. There's a lot of moments here where I'm picking out where like, oh okay, that makes sense.
I agree.
There's no more info than that. I didn't Google anything. If you know anything about it, email family@cageclub.me. Maybe that was like the original idea. Maybe it was going to be like a Shaw Brothers trilogy, as opposed to, because like, we got this one, we got Furious 7, which was Deckard, and by 8 they're with the family. But I can sort of see like, we envision, especially based on Wes's email, maybe Last Lap or whatever, trying to, which 3 movies would you show, like different trilogies or whatever. I can sort of see a Shaw Brothers trilogy, right? Where like they kind of capture Owen, but he's whatever, and then maybe Deckard breaks him out or whatever, instead of like, I don't know. There could be interplay there, I think, to sort of bridge the 2 movies or something. But
yeah,
I'm happy with how they got, where we wound up.
It's weird too, because I think I picked up when, doesn't Deckard say like about, he's talking about you got to have a code? Doesn't he mention like my brother always says you got to have a code or something? He drops some, like I always thought he dropped 1 or 2 lines. Where he's like, I've got a brother. I might mention my brother. Yeah, it's laced out through in there.
I didn't never caught that one. Good call.
But yeah, so I want to be in the, because I think you guys talked about the 2 like huge scenes there, the ones that were supposed to end 2 different movies.
Yeah.
I think the third other big action scene is that flip car. But who do I want to drive me around?
That's really awesome too when they're in the tunnel. I'm amazed every time at that.
Yeah.
Who drives the cars? It's Shaw and female Brian. I don't remember her name.
Yes.
She's the only name I didn't really.
I don't know.
The second prettiest blonde around.
Okay.
Is that Elon Musk's ex-wife? She kind of looks like her, right?
I don't know. So here's actually some crazy trivia. So in this movie,
what?
And this is also me stalling to figure out who I want to drive me around.
Good.
So in this movie, The Rock Hobbs is referred to as both the Hulk and Captain America, and then on his phone, somebody calls at the end, he's listed as Samoan Thor, like his name in somebody's phone is
all
Samoan
Marvel
Thor.
drops in this one.
He's like
all Marvel drops
is the Avengers all wrapped into one.
Which last episode, Joe, you, me, and Mike were talking about
Who
an
fucks up
Avengers
more
Fast
shit.
and Furious crossover.
Yeah.
We already got that. It's Hobbs.
He's just
But
all of them. Okay.
The crazy thing, which I did not know, and Mike, I don't know, I feel like you would have said maybe if you knew, because I don't know if you know, Thor, Chris Hemsworth, the actor, is married to the woman who plays Elena.
Whoa, no, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Elsa Pataki?
I had no
I didn't
idea.
know
Yeah,
that.
they're married in real life, and weirder coincidence, or maybe not because this is a coincidence, that really isn't a coincidence, but Elsa Pataki and Vin Diesel share a birthday, July 18th. So just like these weird connections with Elena, who's not, who is, in ways, a very important, emotionally driving character, but also... Not?
Definitely not.
Which I realized this time around, she wakes up with Dom in bed and like it's loving and lovely and all this different stuff.
Closest
but then,
we get to female nudity, I think, in the entire series, right? Like
in the first movie, we do get a little bit of a Jordana Brewster side boob when she's changing for Brian. Like I feel like they're trying to push the edge there.
She throws the shirt at the camera, which is really interesting.
Right. The franchise has shown a side boob a couple times, but yeah, it's pretty
PG-13,
modest in that way because it is PG-13.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bikini shots, obviously.
There's a lot of shirtless guys, right? Like Ludacris appears shirtless for the first in this one, and Dom's shirtless a bunch.
I'm gonna be driven around, I think, by. I don't think any of us have picked this character. I want to be driven around by Tej because I feel like Tej, used to never drive, now does drive. I would love to be just driving back. Oh, here's what I want.
Make up your fucking
I want to be in a car with Tej and the auctioneer as they're driving the cars back to their lair, just for the awkward sexual tension. Not sexual tension, but you know what I mean. Just like the awkward. Man, oh man.
I was watching the movie this time, and I was really like, they could totally cut that whole storyline out of this movie.
Yeah, well, again, it feels maybe something like truncated or something like that. But I like it because we get 2 characters who aren't ordinarily together. Like, this feels very...
Agreed.
It feels like 4th season sitcom. That's sort of where we are right now in the series. And we have Hobbs and Tej hanging out. It's like, dude, these guys would never... But, like, they have such good chemistry in those 2 scenes. Yeah. It's really funny. And I just love how Tej is full-on hacker tech techie Tej now.
And what I liked about that, and I think I don't know if we ever talked about it, I think I probably noticed it, but never really thought too much about it. But, Hobbs is like, I called DSS, like, we got the cars, they're going to be on here. And Tej is like, no, man, I got it. And it's rare, I think, in any movie for The Rock to be, like, conquered. You know what I mean? For him to sort of lose an argument, if you will.
Okay.
But here, Tej is like, no, man, like, this is, like, trust me that I can do my thing. And he just goes and spends a couple $1 million on this. So, I think it's...
whatever works.
It was cool to see, I think.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think those are all good answers. There's a lot to love in this movie. There's a lot of great characters, a lot of great scenes.
Yes.
So Mike, why don't you spin us on tire reference into what do you want to talk about here? Fast and Furious 6.
I had a good. Can I start, Mike? I have a little jump off for him.
Sure.
Sorry that I'm always like Joey's trying to ask Mike a question. I'm like,
I think it's
I have a
happened
better
like the last
question.
3 or 4 episodes.
Oh, every episode?
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
your show, though.
Something I was thinking about when I was watching it this time is that this is actually the third movie in this thing. And this actually begins... This is the third movie if you consider the fourth the beginning of the action arc. You can think about the movie as a third. Because it's like... If you just like delete like 1, 2, and 3, which you don't really need for 4, 5, and 6, you could just start from 4, 5, and then 6 would be the third one. So this is a third... This is to me, is truly... a third time's a charm.
No, I think that's a good point. I actually agree with that and thought about that watching it this time, especially when they go back into the fourth movie for a little while with Brian, right? Where he goes and there's, was it Stosniak? Picks him up at the airport and it's like, hey,
yeah.
And he goes to visit Braga and it's like, hey, we're in part 4 for a little bit. And that's sort of what part 3s do a lot, is like try and mine stuff from the first movie and like revisit it from a different angle, and then wrapping up the Letty sort of storyline to a degree as well. It does feel like a conclusion of an arc. Definitely, I like that.
What I also think, and this is something I think we talked about earlier in the lap when we were talking about the first movie, the second movie, and a little bit about Tokyo Drift, is that like I feel like the franchise is just on a whole more confident in itself. That early on it was just sort of like standalone stories. It was just like, this is just a movie, the next one's just the next story with some similar characters, but not really tying in too much. It's like, this is where they are now or whatever. And I feel like it's really once Justin Lin comes on board and we get the sort of the soft reboot in 4, that they're like, okay, like let's figure out how we can build a universe as opposed to just having characters. So I agree, Mike, that I think it's a part 3 in a sense, but I also think it's just like a singular vision and like an ambition to go bigger and be more exciting, and not inclusive is the wrong word, but sort of more, all encompassing, right? Like characters, like where would they be now and how can they interact, and like who can we call on to help out here or whatever. Like even kind of in a way, last episode I compared Dom and Brian to Rusty and Danny from Ocean's 11. But like, when in Ocean's 8, when they call in Saul or Ruben, whoever they call in, it's just like, well, where would that person be? You know what I mean? Like, how do we bring these people into like a completely separate story? And I just think it's like this ambition and this, boldness to take chances that wasn't necessarily in the first few movies.
They definitely like worked their shit out by this point. I agree with you.
Yeah, I absolutely feel like none of my issues with this movie are like with character. Like I really love how everyone's reintroduced, how they're all sort of off on their own, and then they come back together because, they get the bat signal from Dom, basically. Like that's great. Like no questions asked. We're there. We got you back. You turned us into multimillionaires. We're always there for you. I think my issues come like thankfully much later in the game in this movie, where again was enlightened this could have possibly been envisioned as 2 films. When we start talking about like the Nightshade and all these other sort of things towards the end, that it kind of meanders a little bit plot wise. But I love everything going on with the actual characters in this movie. It's great. Like when we first see Roman on his plane with his ladies and they're going to Macau or wherever.
Yeah.
And then we see Tej.
That's such a classic scene. That's such a classic scene. The Roman one in the plane, like, it's so perfect. It just works too well for me.
But it's just cool because we get to see them. They're like living their life, like right, like Tej being like the Robin Hood, where he's like fixing the ATMs and everything, and Han and Gisele, of course. Like that's just incredible. Like I stay up at nights like dreaming of what they've been doing between movies.
You said that like you have problems with how the plot goes. Like it gets loosey goosey, right? And I can admit that. But I think that in what you trade for losing the plot, like it kind of going off the rails is what makes 6 so great. Like, that they're just
Yeah.
like, you know what? Like, abandon ship. Like, we're just gonna fucking get wild with it and, strap in. You're going for a ride. And I
Yeah.
kind of like how it's so loose like that.
I'll say this, like, as even if parts feel truncated, they never feel like they're not going for it. You know, they don't feel.
True. Okay.
It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like they're not
They're
trying.
committed.
Like when Brian goes to prison, like sure, I'd love Brian. I'd love like another 20 minutes of Brian in prison, like in the mess hall, like in the whatever, like
Everything,
getting
yeah.
into another fight. But like while he's there, they really try to make the most of it, and like that, I appreciate that. You know, even though it's got its shortcomings, they're still like trying really hard to make it work. And I think you're right. Like there's just so much to juggle in this one. You know,
Adding
like
too many characters, man.
like especially like trying to focus on the Letty stuff, like a lot of that, not that it's bad or anything, but I'm just saying like they have to spend a lot of time on that in this one, you know, like time is reserved for the Letty story, and that's great, and it just means like other things need to get a little truncated.
Like, I think you're also in an interesting position here time-wise because Fast 5 and this are both 2 hours and 10 minutes, and like it's sort of beginning to push the limits of like how long can you really go.
Yes.
Like what, like you're right, Mike. Like you need to decide what you want to focus on and go with that. Later movies will be longer.
Yeah,
like
or you can
especially
just
Fate
make
of
a
the
2.5
Furious.
hour movie.
It's also of the mind where there's reports coming out that Avengers Endgame is going to be 3 hours or maybe longer, and like
With an intermission, yeah.
people don't care because they sort of have faith in Marvel. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't mind if Fast 9 year seatbelts or Fast 10 year seatbelts was like 3 or 3.5 hours if there was story to tell. Like if there was reason for it being that long, if there's emotional
It's not if
beats,
there's a lot of fluff.
Exactly. I don't want it to get overstuffed, but if you have a long story to tell with a lot of interweaving narratives and characters coming back and meeting in new ways, by all means, be as long as you need to be.
I'm fine with it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah, and because the other place they're not skimping on these movies is the action sequences, right? Like that has to take up most of the rest of the time, and they're incredible.
You're right.
In this one. Like one of my favorite sequences in any of these movies doesn't even have cars involved. It's the subway fights when the two women are fighting each other, and then the two guys are fighting the one guy, like all at the same time. That's just great action.
That's this franchise meeting Haywire and also meeting the Raid, right? Like that's just like
right,
bringing
right.
other things like we're not having an Avengers team up, but we're having gritty things, and also like we're just talking about the scene, but like Brian taking on Braga and two goons, like this is like a prison movie. You know what I mean? Like it's we don't have as much of the prison movie as we might want, but like it's badass fight choreography.
You get who these people are through the action sequences too, right? Like so, like the way Han and Roman are fighting, like first they think they could take the guy, but then they realize they're outmatched, and so then it gets kind of funny where it's like you go first, no you go first, no you go first,
Yeah.
So it's like all sort of building on character as well as having like a awesome kick-ass fight scene. And the same
It's
with like
something
Letty.
that I've never thought about before. But you do learn a lot. Like, they respond as their characters. We haven't gotten to the point yet where they're all great at everything. So it's like they're playing on what their character strengths would be, which makes it more fun and realistic. Well, not realistic, but like it fits.
Well, I
the
mean, they're all
world.
superheroes now, right? Like they're
Yeah.
all perfect. They're all automancers, right? They're all becoming more powerful because they've now had 6 movies in theory behind the wheel of a car. So now they're all better fighters and better drivers and smarter and better hackers and
Yeah.
better with money.
Experience.
And, yeah,
They should get
better
paid more.
looking.
Yeah.
So, Mike, what else you wanna talk about? Because I've got some other notes, but before I even reopen my document,
Okay.
what else you want to talk about with this movie?
There's the one scene when Dom is trying to remind Letty of her past, and he's talking
Is it
about
Race her
all-
memory back into her.
yeah,
Okay.
race her memory back into her, but then also scar talk, where they're talking
Yeah.
about all
Yeah.
their scars. I was like, oh man, we just stopped this movie. We put the e-brake on, and now we're
Right in the
I
feels.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so cool. Like, I give this movie credit for being like, you know what, we're gonna spend the time with the Letty story, address this, take it seriously, like make it take its time and everything, and like I don't know.
It's
I
really
like
tasteful.
that.
It's cool. It seems as natural as that could be. Dead girlfriend revived from the dead, race her memory back into her. But the scene, like they have good chemistry in the scene, and it seems like I said, as natural as it could be for what's happening.
Plus, Scar Talk is my favorite show on NPR, so I just like that it's in here.
Scar talk.
I was really surprised in general. Like, I've seen this movie a lot, and we're really into these characters now and everything, but I was surprised how much chemistry there was between certain groups of the actors paired together. You know, obviously I think Han and Gisele have great chemistry and everything like that.
But Han and Tyrese, like,
Yeah.
those two together, like, I wouldn't, like, I always put Tyrese and Tej together, you know, like Roman and Tej, they're like the crew. Because they were both from Florida, they seem like they get along, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? They knew each other beforehand. So when you see, like, Tyrese and Han together, and they're still playing really well with each other, it's awesome.
You know, the one I was most surprised about this time was The Rock and Vin Diesel. Like, I really...
Really?
I have a note about that, yeah.
I really thought that, like, they were bros behind the scenes because, like, I don't know, man. It was coming through to me. So that's why it's, like, kind of sad to, you know, hear about, like, the bad blood, if there is any, between them and stuff, because I was like, man, like, this movie, I was really feeling it between them. You know, I don't know.
They get there for me, but I specifically have a note from this watch that the first Dom and Hobbs scene, it feels so much like they weren't in the same room when they recorded it. When he, like, hands them the pictures and Dom
But
just,
they
like,
work.
talks in
I noticed that, like, because we talked about in Fate of the Furious, they're never on screen together, and here
Yeah.
they very clearly are because they're in the same, like, they're there
You're in the
together.
same
It might
shot,
not
yes.
seem that way, but they are.
No, but I'm saying, but, like, the dialogue, the acting, the deliveries, they all felt disjointed. It eventually gets better throughout the movie, like Dom and The Rock tie in together. But that first scene, I was just like, oh god, it feels like they were like, they just, like, wrote this in, or they shot it from different places.
May I invite you to watch the Nicolas Cage film 211 and watch the final scene of that movie where it is just the most disjointed.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It is
Dinner
it's
time.
6 or 7 different
Dad,
characters.
coming to dinner.
And they basically filmed it over, must have been 5 different times. Like, it's so
It's insane,
horribly
Joe.
cut together.
It is insane. There's
And
definitely
the editing's
some...
bad.
Yeah, there's like
it's-
CG
everything about it is
editing,
terrible.
and there's like combination of
The
shots.
lighting is different in every shot. It's
Oh,
crazy.
God. I love when that happens.
But on the, you know, Dom and Hobbs or Vin Diesel and The Rock thing, like, there's one point where, like, before they're going to take Shaw down, before the car flipping scene, right, where they get set up, they get double crossed, left for dead, whatever.
Yeah.
Dom says, Hobbs and I will wait for Shaw. Shaw leads to Letty. And I just like that, you know, even at this point, like, the characters, I know it's not the actors, but the characters, like, let's spend time together. Like, I'm going to wait here with him. You guys go.
Yeah.
And just thinking about it, you know, a couple movies later, like, that's never going to happen. It's like Vin Diesel look at the script, be like, fuck this, I'm not being next to him. Like, whatever, like, let's get out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just like that
We're
a
still in the
team up that we
honeymoon
don't
phase,
really
kind of.
get. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's still like, let's do this. This is going to be like the biggest movie of the year.
Even though this is the movie that has the iconic Vin Diesel and The Rock at the end of the barbecue, head to head, head by head.
Yeah.
Just, you know, crazy intimidation.
So something that we've been talking about and we've been tracking a while, this is the first time that I noticed in this watch that Brian says, are Leo and Santos around? Or, like, where are Leo and
right.
Santos? So he, like, names the twins, which we've learned have many names.
Mm-hmm.
He asks where they are, but everybody's just like, I don't know. And then that was it. And I feel
Oh, no,
like-
they were last seen at the casino, right?
Yeah, they were last seen at the casino. That's it. That's the same thing that they do to Brian at the, you know, when they're like, let's call Brian. And he's like, leave him alone. And then that's it. But, like, it's such a strange thing. I love that they do that. They, like, have to, like, remind you that other characters exist, but then they don't bring in the character. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I just, because, I mean, we talked about last episode, I think, about how they could bring Mia back, like, how they could bring Jordana Brewster back, but, like, it's weird. I mean, I would love to have anybody back who wants to be back. You know, there's ample time to bring in, you know, whoever. I was going to say Twinkie, but we know that Bow Wow just did some shitty stuff or whatever, so maybe we don't want him in here, but, like, you know, bring back whoever. Just bring them all back. I don't care.
I want
Just
them all
mention their
back.
names. It's all cool.
Yep, I'm in.
Not Iggy Azalea, though, according to that one tweet, if you remember.
What was that? I don't remember.
It was just like, list of actors I want back in the movies, and it was like 12 different people, and it was like, list of actors I do not want back, Iggy Azalea.
Yeah, ready, steady, go.
Well, Rita Ora in this movie, great and beautiful, as we talked about before, so I am
I like
all
Rita
about
Ora. I'm a
this
big
is
fan.
London,
This
baby.
is London, baby.
There's a little bit of a sadness in that opening scene. I guess this whole movie is kind of sad, knowing what happens to Gisele, that she dies, and that, you know, Han essentially dies again in this movie, right? But, like,
yeah.
when they're in that opening scene in Hong Kong, right before, you know, the police show up to bring them in, Gisele has that really cute line. She's like, I'm a citizen of the world. Like, look at me. I'm ordering exotic foods. And it's great. She says to Han, oh, no, he says to her, you ever thought about settling down, starting a life together? And she says, aren't we doing that? He says, are we? And, like, there's this weird kind of melancholy there that, like, they love each other and they're together, but, like, they don't really know kind of where they're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're on the run.
You know, we're in this universe, in this timeline, a couple days or maybe a week away from her dying, and it's just, you know, they're obviously together and in love, but they sort of seem like maybe restless, and maybe like again, maybe that's what we were talking about last time, where you know that one line that you didn't really like that much, Joe. You know, we're 1 hour away from the rest of our lives. Like maybe, you know, they pulled out one big job, and like Gisele thought that, you know, this is us, like we're done. And Han's like, are we though? Like it feels like we're kind of restless. You know what I mean? Like it feels like maybe we're just those kind of spirits who are just like,
need some action.
You know, we're never going to be satisfied.
Yeah.
It's just sad though, because like we love them, but it's just it's sad.
I almost took it as like she's more comfortable not on the run, but just on the move all the time. Like her
she's too
home
hyper.
is the world, right? Like she can live anywhere. But Han,
Citizen of the world.
yeah, and Han just seems a little more, especially knowing what happens, and then that adding just a whole other level to his performance, I think, in Tokyo Drift, just retroactively, you know, and just what a sort of like haunted character he is, but like tries to go on. Yeah, I don't know. It is sad, but I like it because it just adds another dimension, you know, and it's part of that almost like soap opera or melodramatic sort of level that these movies can get to if they need to. If you want them to, it can service that, and that's cool, and that's what we had for a while with these characters. I mean, I still get bummed out because I think, you know, Shaw survives the plane. He basically dies the same way Gisele dies, like they fall off or out of the plane onto the tarmac, but for some reason he survives and she
Giselle's
doesn't.
gone.
And I understand why now. I get it. Like, you know, she was
needed
never
to be Wonder Woman.
Not only that, but like they had plans. Like the whole idea was for her to be the thing that haunted him, I guess.
Yeah.
That lost
Which is
love.
this is one of the best retrofitted backstories I've ever seen in my life. Because Han's character is so mysterious in Tokyo Drift, and to realize that like this is what caused it is really awesome. Like it's perfect to like come back to this. I don't think that I could, like, if you gave me the story and I was like, and like I saw this and I had to write a backstory, I could have never made anything as good as that.
Well, you're no Chris Morgan. That's all that means.
It's true. No, it's just so satisfying.
Yeah,
That's all
Joe.
I'm
I think
saying.
another trilogy in here is the Han trilogy, right? Where it's 5, 6, and 3.
Yep. This is a third time's a charm.
We talked about earlier about how we were saying about how like Tej bests Hobbs in the sense that he's like, I got this. Like later, we talked about the scene, I know for sure, Joe, in previous laps, but where they go to that guy like Gisele and
Never send a man to do a woman's job.
essentially.
Oh,
But Roman's
what does
like,
that mean?
Han and I got this.
When she's like, he's a man. Why she got to say it like that?
She always says that.
Just
Gisele
doing her
says
job.
there's one thing you boys are forgetting. He's a man. Roman says he's a man, and Han says she always says that. But I just like that again. Roman's like, Han and I got this. Like, you know, we're men. But like I like it's not. I don't think it's written this way. But like earlier, Tej is like, no, like, Hobbs, I got this, and then they're just like, yeah, but like look who you are. Like you're Roman. Like I know that you can maybe do this, but like we actually got this. So
Exactly. I do like that Roman took her saying like he's a man, saying that she's clearly saying like I will win him over with sexuality, and Roman instantly felt belittled, right? Like
He's
that she
threatened
was
by her.
questioning his masculinity, right? Like
I think it's that, and I think it's also he's just confused. Like he's like, I don't know, like because in his head, I think it's kind of like that's not a fact that I know that how I could get the better of him. Like I don't know how you know what I mean? Like it's just like I feel like sometimes he's like so on planet Roman that it's like I don't know what that means. Like I don't know. Like that doesn't compute to me.
yeah, the line is so simple, but like it brings out like the ego of Roman and his self-consciousness like all at once. You know what I mean? Like it was really well written. Like I like when like concise lines like that bring out something crazy in someone else. So
It's usually in Roman.
it's usually in Roman, yeah.
I like how that guy's messing with a harpoon gun. That takes us all the way back to the first movie, where that was like their weapon of choice, right? They like would harpoon the windshield of the tractor trailers and stuff.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
There's also like the trackers and stuff that from too. Remember, you know,
Yeah,
like
that
the
shut down your
electronic
cars.
things, right? Yeah.
The EMPs.
What I like about the harpoon gun in here is that, you know, Tej is like, you know, there's a good, mine's a masterpiece. Like he just like he like in a day or two just like worked up something that's apparently better than what they have. Like let's like maybe, but also let's keep the ego in check here, Tej. But again, world's greatest hacker, top 10 most wanted in Fate of the Furious.
He is. Definitely is.
You know, there's that scene that we talked about before that we love, where the Rock or Hobbs shakes down that CCTV guard with the handshake. He's just like,
Squeezes
I'm not
his hand real tight.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And Gina Carano's just standing next to him, just smiling. I wonder if Hobbs could have shut down the entire Reyes operation in Rio if he just shook Reyes's hand. And the guy he's just like, oh, I cave. I'm good. We're no more drugs. No more drugs.
he squeezed it out of him, literally.
What other terrible things, or what other plot developments, or entire whatever, what other trouble can you get out of just by squeezing someone's hand?
The Rock could have just stolen all the cars from that guy by squeezing his hand. Tej didn't need to buy him. He could just walked up and been like, let me shake your hand, and then just squeeze him. He's like, I can have these for free now?
Yeah, instead they humiliate the guy by buying his clothes off of him and stuff. But no,
Yeah.
I agree. What is his grip strength? Oh, man, I can't wait for his movie, because I just need to see how much more he can go through.
Isn't he arm wrestling in it at some point? Don't they arm wrestle each other? Isn't that the trailer? They're gonna arm wrestle at one point.
Maybe?
I don't know, but in
so.
this one, what I love about Hobbs is he just throws himself into danger. He jumps from one car off
bridge down.
Onto
Yeah.
another car onto a bridge, and then later he's going to jump off of a car into the wheel well of the airplane. He is just total disregard for his body, because he probably knows he's indestructible. Is there metal skeleton under that? Is there?
I don't think that he's supernatural like Idris Elba is yet, but who knows?
What else you got, Mike?
When Brian goes to prison and he's
Yes.
getting his mugshots, it says T. Bridges, which I think is a reference to Todd Bridges.
No, it's Tyrese and Chris Ludacris Bridges.
Oh, okay. I was
really?
wondering what was up with that.
That's what IMDb says. I mean, it could be anything, but IMDb says that it's the two rappers.
Okay.
Their
I thought it
names
was a
combined.
shout-out reference to the child actor Todd Bridges, who unfortunately spent some time in the joint as an adult. But
Good.
that was a short one. And the other one that just popped out, and this maybe spoilers for Captain Marvel. Can I still talk about this, or do you want to cut it out?
So we're gonna have a little bit of Captain Marvel spoilers here. So if you didn't see the movie, if you don't want it spoiled, skip ahead 90 seconds.
So Shaw kind of does to Letty what happens to what Jude Law does to Captain Marvel, where he finds this girl with amnesia that he knows that he could sort of gaslight into doing what he wants for a certain amount of time.
True.
And
Yeah.
use her and lie to her and basically turn her against her friends and stuff until someone from her
reprogram.
past makes her remember who she really was and stuff. So I was
Races
like,
her
oh.
back into memory. Races her memory back.
Yeah, I mean, that's in Captain Marvel, but I mean, that's been going on, for a long time. But I just never noticed it before in this movie, but I think that's totally what's happening there. So
Did it help that the Hobbs and Shaw trailer played at the beginning of the Captain Marvel movie?
In Fast 5, we don't know as the audience that they switched the safes, right? But but they still sell
yeah.
that, right? But here, Owen Shaw knows who she is, but when they get the pictures, they're it's her and Dom, and the whole crew goes nuts. He knows, but he still sells it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I guess it's sort of, again, kind of how Gina Carano is selling that, oh, I found this guy. He was trying to break in over here or whatever. We better get the stuff out of here. It's part of the con. I just like that Owen sells he's so next level, in theory, of planning and of manipulation and of getting one over on his enemies, that he's not even letting his family, in a sense, know everything he knows.
Yeah, he's an evil mastermind. You don't even keep the people closest to you in the loop.
yeah, because that's not his code. His code is precision, right?
Ah.
You can't be emotional. You can't have that kind of attachment. I mean, he's not even.
True.
He didn't even bring his brother into this job, right?
Well, I think that Decker thinks he's a little fuck, is what we've developed.
Well, we come to find out, yeah, little brother.
Always cleaning up after your messes.
Yeah, I think that Deck's just off doing his own badass shit. Owen just dicking around, ruining it for everyone.
Yeah, I'm sure it took a call from his mother to be your brother's in the hospital. There's a couple things you got to take care of.
Well, yeah, because, Mike, you were talking about how last episode you love envisioning a world where, Deckard Shaw is just running around doing whatever. But, here, he's got no grudge against Dom, right? Because he's just doing his own thing. He's, maybe he's working a retail job. Who knows? Probably not. He just doesn't have the urge to get revenge because Dom hasn't, put his brother in the hospital yet.
Deck has to be off doing something illegal. He's running his own scam like this just somewhere else. That's all I can imagine him doing. Or do you think that he was a mall security guard.
No, well, we know he's like ex-special forces kind of stuff.
I know,
right?
but like, do you think he was like retired, like Mike from Breaking Bad, where he was like, ex special forces, but he was like out of the game?
I feel like he's probably like set for life financially and just does whatever he needs to do to either like pass as a normal life or just occupy his time, like spending nights at a parking garage or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, was he
like
like
he's got
just
under
out
his
of the-
floorboards, he's got hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash or whatever, but he's bored. One thing I noticed that was a little awkward editing, and I don't know if either of you caught this, when they're bringing Brian into prison and they get the mugshots taken. Stasiak is explaining the whole thing about how like you can only be in here for 24 hours. After that, like I lose control of you. Blah 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 blah. So much of that is explained over like a way too long of a shot of the car pulling into the prison. So I wonder if like audiences or maybe just not even audiences, but like producers or whatever was like, I don't understand why the stakes are as high as they are. And they have to add in more explanation about like, you know what I mean? Like it feels, because like there's more voiceover where like Brian's getting his mugshot taken where it's actually things happening, and I can see, and this is just sort of movie making or whatever, I can see them having like a shorter explanation where it's just stuff like that, and then they're like, well, we need another like 10 or 15 seconds. And there's just a car just driving around and then waiting at the gate for the gate to open, and then the gate opening and then the car pulling in. It's just like, that feels so long.
Yeah.
For nothing happening on screen. It's just like the Stasiak being like, well, you gotta do this, you can't do this. And it's like, okay, now I understand. Like, I understand why it's so important now, but it just feels like they either didn't get a shot they needed or things weren't clear enough or whatever. But I never caught that before. It was just like a weird little thing that I caught this time.
I think you're totally right, because we get Brian saying why he needs to go back to prison. As he's in prison, we have that voiceover of like, okay, you have 24 hours to get the Braga, get your info, get the hell out of here before anyone runs your fingerprints and know you're even here. And it's like, yeah, kind of just said that to Dom, gotta go to prison for 24 hours and talk to Braga, be right back. But yeah, this movie's moving so fast, you have to kind of keep reminding the audience like where we're at, reorienting us a little bit. And
need that good Lifetime movie technique.
Well, it reminded me, Joey, a little
it.
bit of one of our favorite moments in Stolen.
I love Stolen. That's a great movie.
When they've stolen the gold and they're going like across the river and they're just about out of reach of jurisdiction, and they had like that one ADR line over the river, and it's just like, what does that shot have to do with what he's talking about? There's just no connection.
But it feels like Stolen is a $5 or $10 million movie that they're just like, oh, we got
That's
Nicolas Cage, we got
Trump
Mullen
one,
Ackerman,
right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's such a great movie.
That and Seeking Justice are the two Cage movies that like Mike and I know that we irrationally like way more than they are actually
love
good.
Stolen.
But I feel like that's a movie where it's just like, oh shit, we didn't get it. Like, how can we? We have a picture. We've got footage of a car driving. Let's just do that. But here it's like this is like a multi-hundred million dollar movie,
And they use the same technique.
Figure it out exactly. Yeah.
Movie making 101.
Well, Mike, what else you got?
The last thing I just wanted to mention is like when they were doing Scar Talk, one of the scars is Dom is like, you and Mia, like I think he says that Letty and Mia drove a car through a retaining wall or something on a highway, and like I want to see that flashback start a movie one day. Like that would be amazing.
I fully want them to do prequels and just recast a whole new cast of like 18-year-olds.
No, don't. Well,
but then
you know
it'd
what
have
I'm
to
saying?
take place in like the 90s. Is that
Yeah.
Because like I like the characters, but I like the actors as the characters. I don't like.
But they're gonna be somebody different. Like it's gonna be a different time. So
I just
you
need
can
a flashback. I don't need a whole movie though. I think a whole movie would be too much because it would be like a period piece, and I kind of want these to be modern. Like to do that.
Fair.
So
Yeah.
like if we start a movie and it's like we see this guy driving a car.
All I'm envisioning is that every kid from Stranger Things becomes a character, and they just do
but
Fast
I don't
and
want
Furious.
that. I love Mia, but I love
11 is
Jordana
Dom.
Brewster as Mia.
She just-
I don't want. God damn it! Stop it! Just stop with your nonsense.
But it would just be funny where it's like, you see the opening of a movie and it's like, what the hell's going on? There's some like buff teenager, but he's got a full head of hair, and then he gets into a crash and someone's like Dominic Toretto, and it's like, holy
Exactly.
shit.
That's what I'm saying. See?
that sounds terrible.
But I'm
Sounds
saying
real
just,
bad.
just like a moment. I don't need the whole movie.
You guys don't need to watch the backstory. I just want them to make it for me. I'm gonna add it to the playlist, and then I'll watch it when I need to.
Okay. One thing that a line that I noted here at the end when when Gina Carano turns heel after Shaw says, "You coming, babe?" and she says, "Of course, I wouldn't miss it for the world." It just reminded me, just the word, like the babe, just reminded me of Get Out, where it's just like, oh no. I guess spoilers for Get Out. Yeah, but it's just like, oh, like this person we thought was on our side. No.
Definitely not. I hate that heel turn. I've gotten to the point now where, like, I firmly remember it. But, like, every time that I watch this movie for, like, the past, like, before we started this, I would just block out that she's, like, I'm like, oh, why do I not like her? And I'd be like, yeah, that's why.
I think she's really good in this, actually. Like, the first kind of...
She's good. I hate the character. That's the best like, you know what I mean? That's the best.
No, but I like her because I think that she serves an important role, because I think we just had The Rock hand pick the one cop, the one honest cop in Rio, right? Like in a city full of like hundreds or thousands of police officers that ostensibly...
So did he just get lucky, or does he have shit recognition?
Well, no, because that's what I think is interesting, because like we see that The Rock is like bulletproof in terms of he can pick the one person he needs on the side, and here it's like, oh, we got that intuition again. She's exactly who he needs, and then he's so wrong. He's wrong. Like there's that's. So I think it says a lot about the character. Yeah, I like that the movie sort of in a way references the previous movie, especially with Elena in this one.
I like that too. I think that's a major reason why he ends up helping Dom and putting a gun to the head of that good guy at the end, and he's like, like, we're gonna go take care of this and make things right, because he was so wrong. He's got to make things right. It's crazy.
You're right. It does make it easier to believe that he comes over to the family. Yeah. Like if I can make him, it makes him human, immortal by making a mistake. I can see that.
By this point, we trust his judgment. So when she makes the turn, I was really shocked, because I was
first time I saw it. I agree. Yeah.
I was like, because The Rock has like such good like judgment in people and care stuff, but like, wow.
Because I also think that the scene itself is set up so well that the obvious thing that you're supposed to expect is that Letty is going to go back to him. Like, it's like, this is the moment where, like, does Letty stay with the family or go back? And then, so you're so focused on, like, where's Letty's allegiance fall, that you're not even thinking, I don't think, unless you've seen the movie before or whatever, that, like, there could be another twist here. And I think it works on a few levels. Plus, we talked about this, I think, past laps too, but Mike and I obviously covered Haywire for Cinemakers. You and I, Joe, are going to cover Haywire for Magic Mike's. Gina Carano is just so goddamn good in that movie.
Really?
Yeah,
she's good in it?
She's so good in it.
Yeah.
She's not good in everything. Like, there's this movie called In the Blood, I think, which is very, very bad. But she's so good in Haywire. And Haywire is just incredible as a movie. And so I just can't really... I can never hate her or hate her character, because, she's got unlimited, cred in my eyes because of Haywire.
Ooh. I like it.
Plus, MMA, and like, especially knowing that Ronda Rousey is going to be in Furious 7, where she's like,
terrible
I was getting pretty bored or whatever. It's just like, oh boy, okay.
Yeah. She's really, really bad. She does equally as bad on WWE all the time. Just saying.
She's no Paige, or whatever Paige's actual... Was Paige her actual name?
I have no idea.
Fighting with My Family Girl.
Was that good? Was that fun?
It was fun. I mean, it was very predictable, and I cried at the end. I cried, like, kind of a lot at the end. Like, happy tears.
Okay.
That's cool.
It's just like, it's very...
I take it she made it into the WWE?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Just kidding. It's the whole movie.
It's the whole point of the movie, but like the whole thing is that, like, it's spoilers, I guess, for Fighting with My Family, but like, she wins the Divas Championship in her first match, and like, it's just this whole...
Oh, that's cool.
Like, it's just how it happened. Like,
but it's
she just
scripted.
Was... Yeah, but it is, but it's also like, you need to win the crowd. Like, if the crowd was firmly not on her side at all,
you have to turn.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
But like, this woman that she had fought was the champion for like either like a year or 2 years, like this incredible undisputed champion. Like, she just kept winning bouts or whatever, and she just defended the night before, and then at the end, Paige goes and she wins, and like, it's just so cathartic, and just, it's like cutting back and forth to her family and stuff. It's cool. Beautiful. Like, it's really, the movie itself is fine, but like the end, I just sobbed.
Plus The Rock's in it.
As The Rock.
Dude, we've ruined a lot of movies in this
Three,
episode.
I know, but we sort of, hey man.
Yeah, whatever works.
What can you do? Okay, so what other notes do you have? I have some cool trivia, but I don't want to get to the trivia yet, if we still have more of the movie to talk about.
During the runway fight, I didn't take a lot of notes, but I had one, because every time it happens, I cheer, and that is Dom's flying headbutt.
Yes!
That's amazing.
It's a really good picture, and we need to save that for some point, because I like it a lot too. I agree, Mike.
Joe, do you have a favorite moment in the runway chase? While you think about it, I'll give you mine.
Good.
Mine is when Letty and Gina Carano are... what's her name, Mike? Riley? Is it Riley?
Yeah.
When Letty and Riley are there, and Letty kicks her ass and just says, "Wrong team, bitch." And Riley
There's
looks
so
up
many good
at
one-liners.
Hobbs, and Hobbs is just like, "What are you gonna do?" And then she harpoon guns her or whatever out of
the plane. Yeah, she harpoons her out of the plane.
It's just so like Hobbs's face sells it. Like, it's a cool enough line. It's a gruff enough line from Letty, but it's also like Hobbs just saying like, "You fucked me over. Like, what do you want? Like, I'm not gonna
gonna
protect you."
stop her. Yeah,
Exactly.
Which also shows his character that's like he's coming to the bad side. Like, he's not trying to save.
He's no longer
anyone.
lawful good. He's like neutral good or something.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Or maybe even just neutral or good. I don't know, something. I don't understand D&D.
I think my favorite. There's so much good in there. I think my favorite part of that is just the pilot and how confused he is the whole time.
And how he's just gonna die. Like,
And how
committed
he
ball
is.
of flames.
But like everything that's happening, he's like, "What the fuck's on the left?" And then like he's like, "What the fuck's on the right?" Like, all these cars drove up on you, dude. Like, you know what they're trying to do. Like, and just take the fucking plane up.
Well, that's what he tries to do in the end, right?
Yeah.
He's like, just go.
Yeah,
just go
20
up.
minutes later. That's my favorite part. I can't like narrow down like one action piece. It's just just like pay attention to like what the pilot's doing. It's just so chaotic the whole time. And all you need to do is just like pull the fucking thing back and be like, "Burp," and just take the plane up in the air. But
So one of the craziest bits of trivia, it's a scene that I'm watching right now, but it's when they go back to the warehouse, their lair or whatever,
Okay.
before Riley joins Shaw, but like when we still think that she's one of the good guys.
okay.
Brian goes up to Letty and is just like, I want you to know, you might not remember, but this is all happening because I did you dirty. Like, you're here, I wanted you as an informant, all this different stuff. Apparently, and I think this is true because I can't think of an example, this is the first time that Brian and Letty ever talk to each other.
No way.
Like, directly. Like, they might be, like, talking in a group,
Yeah.
but they're never one-on-one talking until this, which is, again, Letty's not in 2, neither's in 3, Letty dies in 4, Letty's not in 5, so it's like, they don't talk in 1, and she's separated here, so, like, there's not a lot of opportunities, but it just feels, again, like, how separated is she from the narrative that, like,
You're right.
he's not with her?
Yeah, that's so strange. But now that you think about it, like, she's always with Dom, or at least someone else, if Brian's there.
Yeah.
She's never alone with Brian. But at the same time, like, this was the greatest movie for this. Like we were talking about earlier, that like you get a lot of weird matchups in this one.
Yeah.
Like you never see Tyrese and Han before or after this. Well, I guess there wasn't really opportunity, but still.
Crying emoji, crying emoji, crying emoji.
Yeah. Like, you don't see them together either, so.
Right. Mike, do you have any other notes, any other things? I know that as time goes on, I think we sort of have to, just keep in mind that we've talked about everything before, but,
Yes.
this is your opportunity to talk about this movie, so what else do you want to...
I know. And I'm trying not to take forever tonight either, so I just want to pick out like some of the more
Yeah, nothing
choice
but
ones.
time. While you look, I will say that Paul Walker obviously died while making 7. And I do remember that I saw this movie in theaters. This came out in May, and I saw it in theaters, and I loved it. Like, I wrote down... I think I talked about this on maybe the first lap, Joe, was that, like, I wrote on Facebook, like, this might be the greatest movie that's ever been made. Like, it's just so goddamn good.
Yeah.
And then I watched it 6 months later, the same month that Paul Walker died, and I was like, it hurt. It didn't work for me because I was just like, it's too sad. Like, it hurts. And, now I've obviously, because I think the way that 7 handles it all, and just the fact that I love these movies and love the character, and I think it's a good way to honor his memory just by watching these movies. All of that said, the reason I'm bringing all that up is because previous sponsor, Joe, Reach Out Worldwide, apparently Universal had announced that after he died, that a portion of the Blu-ray and DVD sales were going to go to Reach Out Worldwide. So, like, I don't know how much it was. I don't know if they cooked, 1% or half a percent or less or whatever.
Yeah.
But they donated money to his charity, which I thought was, pretty cool. So
That is very cool. I mean, if they
Good on
even
you,
gave
Universal.
them, 0.1%, fuck.
I feel good about spending $100 in your gift shop because of that.
Yeah, amen.
What you got, Mike?
They globetrot a lot in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Canary Islands, Russia, England, all over the place. That's really cool. More scar talk. Dom and Letty have matching scars they got the last night they saw each other from the reef when they went swimming.
That's right.
So that's romantic. I love, oh my god, okay, one of my favorite moments in all of the series, because it's so great, is when it's at the end, when they're at the picnic and Hobbs shows up. Roman goes, Mia, you better hide all that baby oil. And then fucking Hobbs goes, better hide that big ass forehead.
Yeah.
That's one of my
I
fucking
love that
favorite.
scene.
Jordan talked about that last lap too, and IMDb confirms that was
totally improv.
The Rock improving it, and so Ludacris's spit take was real because he just didn't expect a retort like that. But yeah, it's just
I love it.
Because they talk about earlier in the movie. They talk about Roman. Like I don't think they really talk about Roman's forehead or Tyrese's forehead in other movies. But earlier in the movie, they
The
talk
Rock
about,
brings it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like a callback to that. I just love it. Like those are the kind of moments where it's like nothing's really happening, but also so much is happening because it's the characters that we love making fun of each other. So
yeah, and they just all have such a great cross dynamic. Like everybody.
They do. It's familial.
Yeah.
To make fun of like your friend is very familial. Like you have to the little nudge at them that makes it all the more real. How did we just go from Gisele's dead to a barbecue? Like, why are they having a barbecue so quickly? Like, we should at least get a funeral, right? Like,
justice for Gisele.
Justice for Gisele. Seriously, like Han's just expected to like go eat barbecue now. Like it's just cool. Everybody's back. Like we're good, squatted up, and like my girlfriend just died. Like
is Han at the barbecue?
Yeah, he's there.
Okay.
And
yeah, I'll be like super sad, man.
Yeah, he is super sad looking. And Tej and Roman are like, whatever you want, man. Like we got your back. And he's like, I think I'm gonna head to Tokyo.
I do think that there is. When somebody goes through grief or trauma or whatever, I think there's something to be said about just trying to take your mind off it.
True.
And like, we don't want to necessarily like throw a party, but like, hey, I know that like
let's
you just
do
lost the
normal
person you
stuff
love,
to get back in the swing.
But yeah,
of it. Okay,
let's all hang out. Let's try to get back to what we were doing.
Word, I can see that. Yeah, that
they're
makes
back
sense.
at 1327, so it's like
True. So you're back
occasion.
at home. Yeah, that makes sense. You guys swayed me. I get it.
So, Joe, I teased it earlier when you mentioned Han's motorcycle is the same as his car. The paint job is the same as his car in Tokyo Drift.
Okay, yes.
So, when they go to the car auction here, Tej makes fun of Hobbs. He says, "Oh, he reads the brochure. I'm proud." Like, Hobbs, because I think the only time maybe in any movie where he's just like talking about cars and like trying to like show off like, hey, I know cars. Like, I'm a car guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But apparently in Tokyo Drift, there's some high schooler who's talking like shit about. I think maybe it might have been Jonathan Taylor Thomas. It might have been Tool Time, or not John, or Brian, whatever. No, not Jonathan Taylor Thomas. The other guy, whatever.
The other one, yeah.
Tool Time's kid.
Brad. Yeah.
But he says something, and Sean Boswell says, "Wow, you can read the brochure." And so I just think that there's like a funny like this snobbery kind of from car guys that are just like, "Oh, like yeah, you can say facts, like you read the brochure, but like you don't know how to tune an engine, or you know what I mean?" Like,
yep. Yeah, I get it.
But I just think that's cool. Like once again, referencing an earlier movie that just not only bringing Han back with the same kind of reminiscent, but also just lines and whether that's intentional or not. But it's cool.
But I also noticed that shot like from the beginning of 3 when Sean flips his car and it's like the Tabasco sauce floats in front of his face and stuff. Like I feel like we get that shot like once or twice in this movie too, where it's like
because we get Brian flip. We get Brian flip the car. So
Yeah.
I definitely see it there. The whole like upside down camera angle type thing.
That's crazy too in that London chase. Like everyone gets really fucked up in that chase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder. I don't know what the contract negotiation time frame was. I don't know if it was announced before, but like this is Justin Lin's last movie. He's coming back for 9 and 10, but like, and also maybe Hobbs and Shaw, maybe not. I don't know. No, Hobbs and Shaw is David Leitch, I think, right? The guy who did Atomic Blonde.
Yep.
But he's coming back for 9 and 10. But he started with 3. He's ending with 6. Maybe he knew this was going to be his last one for a while, so maybe he wanted to, pay respect to the movie that started him on this franchise. You know what I mean? So
That's cool.
I can see that all being intentional choices on his part. Like Tokyo Drift might not be a fan favorite, like obviously we love it, but I want to just respect the movie that like because it was so itself and so good and so unique and whatever, he's still here 4 movies later, 3 movies later on the 4th movie, right? So I can just see that kind of being like a paying respect to where he came from.
Yeah, little nod, touch back there.
It's nice because it gives the series just like a visual continuity too. I mean, I notice it like nowadays they try and do it with Star Wars too, where it's like, they want you to remember the old movies and they'll do a shot that references that and stuff. But like this is cool because I don't know, I like a visual continuity or something.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about that. I noticed it with the mugshot thing, like the way it was like chopped together. It was very reminiscent.
The subtitles, like that is very unique. Like the way
in the middle of the screen and stuff.
Yeah, and they go flying off screen when someone else starts talking and stuff.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're racing subtitles.
Well, that's true. Yeah, it is. They definitely have some speed to them. I wonder what the font's called.
Speed 2 cruise control.
Speed 2 cruise control.
So we talked about this last time about in Fast 5 when they're racing through the streets of Rio with the safe behind them. We saw that little kid on the bus. That's Justin Lin's kid. Apparently his kid is also on the double-decker bus in the street race here. So it's the same kid traveling from Brazil to London.
Oh, that's
to,
awesome.
So it's just another cool, like,
Dude, if
oh,
I
look, here
made
he is again.
movies, I would put my kids in all the movies. If I had kids, I'd put my cats in all the movies.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you have the power to do whatever. There's like one thing that just is burned in my brain forever for whatever reason, is that Chris Carter, the guy who created the X-Files,
Yeah.
his wife was born on October 13th. So anytime you see a clock on the X-Files, generally speaking, it's set to 10:13. It's like, oh, that's my wife. It's like saying hi to his wife. It's just like,
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with anything, but it's just like, it could be anything, but he chooses to be a certain thing to, say hi to the person he loves or whatever. So, like, including your kid.
Exactly.
I guess including your cats.
Super
whatever.
cool. I think it would be awesome. If I had the power to do that, I would be very proud, and I would definitely like to put some shit like that in the movies. Just like a little nod to like anybody that you have love for.
It's the power of movies.
Power of movies.
Jason Statham and David Tennant were both considered to play Owen Shaw before Luke Evans signed on, but then Jason Statham obviously would go on to play Deckard Shaw. But David Tennant probably best known for Mike being a doctor, right? Doctor Who.
Yeah, and I don't really know the actor here playing Shaw. I don't
Luke
think
Evans?
I've seen any of his stuff. Yeah, I think this is what I know him from.
What is he in? Yeah, I was just wondering the same thing. After
Most known for Dracula Untold. He's Gaston in
definitely.
the new Beauty and the Beast. He plays Bard or Girion in the Desolation of Smaug.
Oh, right, he was one of the hobbits. Yeah, he was one of the dwarves, I think.
So his first thing was in 2003, but then his next thing was in 2009. So he's really only been around for like a little under, like about a decade. He's been in 39 things, which, considering how much stuff is made today, it's not a ton,
Yeah.
But movies that I've heard of, Clash of the Titans, Robin Hood. Again, I don't know if these are big roles or not. Three Musketeers, Immortals, Desolation of Smaug, Battle of the Five Armies, all the Fast and Furious stuff. He's in High Rise with Tom Hiddleston.
That's a good
The Girl on
movie.
the Train, Beauty and the Beast, Fate of the Furious, Professor Marston, and the Wonder Woman. Oh, he is Professor Marston, I think, which is a very good movie. Wildly different from these movies. But yeah, he's the star of that. But I feel like this is kind of what rose him to prominence, which is kind of cool. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
First Gisele, now him.
No,
he's also on that new show. He's on that new show, The Alienist, which is with him and Dakota Fanning, which I tried to watch, and I was like, I'm good. Not that it's bad, it's just, wasn't my cuppa, if you will. What else you got, Mike?
Not much. Let me see. I always love it at the end in the wreckage of the plane, and Dom is just walking out of the fire in silhouette. And
Is the man on fire?
Yeah, and he's got the goober in his hand. He's got the nightshade device, and everything is perfect. Like that survived. Like what is it? Can't that have just been destroyed and all good? But like no, he saved the nightshade and everything. Like
Everything.
I
He
almost
got
expected him to have one of the pilots over his shoulder, but
Yeah.
it didn't happen.
Yeah. That would be really awesome. Yeah.
The only other little bit of trivia that I have, and I think this is what we were talking about before when Wes wrote in about the commentary for Fast 5 that he wants us to get to eventually, but
Yes.
Fast and Furious 6, this movie, apparently the tank chase was originally envisioned to be CGI, and Justin Lin was like, no, we're going to do this practically, and then, if we need to, sweeten it a little bit in post, but we're going to do this as practically as we can. So, shout out to him, because you can tell, like, even if you don't really know, like, even if you don't know the making of movies and stuff, like, you can tell, like, when things look real, because they are real, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
Justin Lin really brought, like, an authenticity to these that I think just, whether or not you like the original racing movies, or you like the new, more action-y movies than racing movies, I think you have to admire the fact that, like, this is, like, they're actually doing a lot of this action, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, that's a really amazing moment too, like when Roman is stuck in front of the tank and it's like running him over, and Roman like gets out and starts surfing like his car, and then Brian fucking comes and like saves his life, and it's like bros, like they're best friends and stuff. So like that was a great moment to see Brian save him and him be so excited and stuff, and it's like, that's fast, that's part 2, I'm living like a moment from part 2. So I thought that was, and I think Brian also gives the finger again in this one, so like another sort of callback, Brian giving the finger.
Joe, do you have any other notes about Fast and Furious 6 before we move on to what we close up with?
No, I don't. We got through all of mine. As I went on, I interjected them.
So we have 2 games to play, of course. We have this Ain't No 10-Second Race, a.k.a. boy, do we have a podcast for you. So I don't know if either of you have found tweets already, but we're going to go to Twitter. We're going to find tweets that, in theory, someone could like, retweet, respond, or email us from. Basically trying to find new listeners, try to bully people into listening.
Yeah.
So last episode, Joe, you found... Let me actually get this up for a second.
That cam girl.
Yes, you found Kylie Jean MFC. Why does every podcast claim they're the number one podcast? Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
And?
Nothing. Unfortunately. Mike, you found Xavier Renee Payton at Papazay. Hey, at Netflix, can you please add more Fast and Furious movies? Thanks. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Nothing.
Damn.
I found Faith at Norm in AHFM. Han and Gisele from the Fast and Furious deserve better. Currently on an emotional roller coaster after watching the first 6 movies. Now up to the 7th, knowing damn well Paul Walker isn't alive. Whew. I am going to cry my eyes out. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Nothing. 0 for 3 that time, guys. We
swung hard.
Golden sombrero. 3 strikeouts there. Fast and Furious 6. Mikey, if this episode, 2 more.
Okay.
To add to your, apparently, second place
points.
total now. So, do either of you have a tweet yet, or should we
Yes. Here we go.
read it out?
Okay, this is from Dema, trademarked, at Demzy?
Demzy? Sure.
Demzi. Watching Fast and Furious 6 again. This is where it all happened, from street racers, hustlers, to an extended family with we die here or we leave together mentality. It's obvious now why I need me a Letty to my Dom. ...
Boy,
Do we have
do a podcast for you.
Yeah, so I like this tweet because it's specific to the movie, and I think he's right. This is where it really... there's no turning back now. Like, it is, it can only get bigger.
Yeah.
Okay. On a completely different turn, my tweet is it's Wall Street Tavern at WS Tavern. Join us tonight for the musical talents of the Shaw Brothers from 7 to 10. Hashtag live music. Hashtag Watt Street Tavern. Hashtag Circleville. Hashtag Ohio.
Boy, Watt Street Tavern, do we have a podcast for you? Let's see what happens.
They posted that 7 hours ago, and there's been 2 likes.
Well, I mean, that's, better than a lot of my tweets, so I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But I do want to, I do think an easy 5 points is just like, that's not what we're talking about. Like, just like a response like, I don't think you're in the right place.
I just hope that everyone thinks that it's just a bot, right? Like, that's what I want people to be like, what the fuck kind of algorithm do they have that, like, they respond to this shit? You know what I mean? Because if you, like, looked back, you wouldn't know anything about what happened, so. I'm
having problems. For some reason, a lot of my tweets that I'm finding are coming back in Spanish. Like, I mean, it's not...
I got a lot of Spanish ones this time, too. I did. I got a lot of Spanish ones.
Really?
I just like this one. This is from February. I don't think this person's going to respond.
Go for it.
From at Jenna Otrando, Honeybun on Twitter.
Okay.
I'm going to put this here so you guys take a look at it. My goal in life is to be financially stable, happy with myself, live a life with my husband like Mia and Brian from Fast and Furious, have 10 dogs and a huge makeup room. Is that too much to ask? Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
Like, I don't think this person's going to respond, but I like the idea of, like, whenever somebody references something that I really like in something that has no, like, there's no reason for her to reference Brian and Mia here unless she loves these movies. I just like that when it's sort of, when that happens. So, boy, do we have a podcast for you.
Amen.
Nice.
All right, Mike, we've got one more game to play. This is the car guessing game.
That's right.
You helped give the clues last time, so you're going to guess tonight. And I think, if I remember right, Wes made it a little bit more difficult.
Oh, great.
He says this one is
He
probably
also
going to
really
be
enjoyed
tricky.
you guessing for A-Rod, by the way.
He said he got A-Rod right away. He only knows 2 baseball players. He's like, so maybe... He's like, he said something about like that. I was like, yeah, but that's the point. Like, that's... you only know, like, if you only know 5 baseball players, you know A-Rod. So just guess A-Rod. But you went with Bernie Williams, Mike, so that's, never forget.
I can't believe A-Rod announced his engagement later that week, and maybe I was wondering if he was, like, having a meeting with his accountant being like, should I get a prenup? Should I have her sign something? And that's what Joey witnessed.
Wow.
Like,
that would be pretty cool.
You're right. That's a really good point. I didn't think about it.
Wes says, this one is probably going to be pretty tricky, but I wanted to tie it into Fast and Furious 6.
Okay.
And I also wanted to pick a European car because I don't know if I ever have.
Ooh.
I'll be honest, I'm not particularly interested in European cars, so this one is kind of boring to me, even though Jeremy Clarkson apparently called it, quote, the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Do you know
Okay.
Jeremy Clarkson?
I'm Top Gear.
Top Gear.
Top
He's
Gear,
from Top
yeah.
Gear, okay.
Well, now Grand Tour on Amazon, but yeah.
It
So it's
is,
European.
I believe it's British. Let me take a look at this on Google.
What side is the steering wheel on?
This is tough. Steering wheel's on the right side. Well, no, the steering wheel. It looks like two different pictures, two different sides. So I guess
Maybe it was
could
an
be
import
either.
too. Okay.
So it's in this movie.
Okay.
It is. Here's a hint. It's one of the cars Tej buys.
Oh.
So that's where it ties in here. Wes circled it for me. It's
Okay.
one of the cars. The car in the movie is black.
Oh,
Okay.
I think I
Okay.
can picture it. I just don't know what it's called, you know. Just
The pictures he sent in. Let me actually take a look at these bigger. The picture it's a purple. It's a very dark purple. It's like a
Dark
licorice
purple.
almost.
Okay.
So here's a great hint that I can't believe I haven't given before. The front of it looks like a face. The headlights look like eyes. The grill looks like a mouth. It's got a
Okay.
logo in the middle that looks like a nose. Adorable. It's a very cute car.
Is it an MG?
No, is that a make? Is that a company?
Yeah, MG.
I need to figure out.
Is it an Alfa Romeo?
No,
Ashton Martin.
no. It's a. Oh boy. So this is what's confusing to me.
Okay.
It's that it's. I think it's a. It is a maybe like a British. No, their headquarters. Their headquarters were in Michigan.
Huh.
What is
Shout out Detroit.
Fiat?
No, so here's the thing. It's a manufacturer that I didn't know was a manufacturer. It's a common noun, not like super common, but it's a common noun that also doubles as a company name. But I didn't know that they made cars.
Interesting.
It's one of the cars Tej purchases at auction. The cost starts around 1 million or 1.25 million for the coupe, which is what
Lotus?
Wes sent a picture in. No, it's not. I know Lotus. Not that you would know that I know Lotus, but I know Lotus. So it's a two-door coupe. It looks like there's a little space in the backseat. I don't know if there's actually seats behind the driver and the passenger.
Okay.
The logo, here's a hint of the logo. It's sort of like it's sort of oval-ish or sort of like slightly rounded rectangular. Red, it looks like. On the grille, there's a circular red logo.
Okay.
The headlights in the front, it's a very big, if you will, eye-like white like headlights.
Is it a British car?
I'm trying to figure out. Wes says it's a British car. I don't know that it is.
Okay.
It's a marquee. How do you say Marquee? It's like a brand. That's just a brand. I don't know, man.
I'm a
don't
little
know
stumped.
I think what it might be. It's a European version or European sort of maker model kind of an American car. And the version that it's tried to... So the big hint, I guess the biggest hint that Wes gives is that it's a bespoke build / improvement of the Jaguar E-Type built by this company in Great Britain. So maybe they have a factory over there too. But from what I'm looking at
I didn't know that
Wiki,
Jaguar had like another spin-off anything. Opel?
But I don't know. I don't know. When you Google the car, it's one of the most stunning new cars that money can buy. Technically, it's based on the Jaguar E-Type, but the team at this company has improved it in every way. It's got the jaw-dropping beauty of the original Jag, but it drives like a modern car. So definitely, the car looks like it's from the 60s, but I guess it's a new car.
It's like some kind of kit car that you like. Okay. It's like retro styling.
It's retro styling. It's very smooth and rounded and very low profile. The windshield is very small. It's probably the windshield I would guess is probably only like a foot tall. Like the seats are very low in the car, so there's not much windshield there. At least in the coupe version that I'm looking at. The back has a dual exhaust in the middle. There's the brake lights are kind of, I guess, unique, but not in a way that I think would identify it, unless maybe. They're sort of very thin and long and kind of wrap around the side a little bit. They go from red to orange.
I don't know, man. I'm lost. I would have had it at Jaguar. I don't know what Jaguar makes. Like, what
So
car
this
looks
is
like this? Go ahead.
it's an Eagle Speedster.
Eagle?
Eagle.
No way, dude. They used to make old fucking Eagles. Like
So
old.
Eagle is a marquee or a mark of the Chrysler Company following the
Yeah.
purchase of American Motor Corporation.
Dude, the fucking Eagle Talon. Oh god, this car. Do you remember the Eagle Talon?
No, so here's the picture from the movie. He circled it in
I thought
red.
Eagle died forever ago. Jesus Christ. I wonder if they're still alive.
It's a really pretty
Yeah,
car.
it looks awesome.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
You see how it looks like a face?
Yeah, it does. No, you're dead on. It
Not
could be
that it
Lightning
helps,
McQueen.
but like it's the most facey of a car that we've had, I think.
I think so.
But yeah, so I mean that was tough. Again, like I feel like maybe I'm wrong or maybe Wes was wrong, but I feel like
I don't.
It does. It looks like a British car. It looks like a '60s British car.
It does.
It looks like something Bond would drive.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Wes. We stumped Joe too here. I don't know how to better describe that because it is kind of like unremarkable. Like it's very minimal.
Yeah, and I
would
have never gotten Eagle because
Do you know Eagle? You knew Eagle.
Yes, because they used to make this car, the Eagle Talon, which was essentially a fucking Mitsubishi Eclipse. It was like the exact same car. It was a Mitsubishi car. Like, you know when companies do this, like they'll make the car and then another, like they used to do this. Like they'll make one car and then another company would make pretty much the identical car but call it something else.
Yeah.
And the parts were all interchangeable. Yeah, there was an Eagle Talon and it was a Mitsubishi Eclipse.
So I guess this is just so how do you think
something.
knowing how car companies operate sort of, how do you think that the Jaguar E-Type fits in here? It's just like it's the same company or it's a different company? I don't understand where that comes from.
I don't know how it works. Like, but I know that Eagle was building cars that just were essentially
Other
the
cars?
same. No, they were just like they never built like an original car. It was always like Eagle was just another version of a car that already existed.
Right, that's what I was trying to say. I guess I misspoke. But yeah, they're just like taking something else and just like, hey, we're doing it now.
Yeah, and the car company would be like totally okay. I don't know what the rules are. Maybe it's like if they build it in a different market, it's fine, you know. But like there's Mitsubishi Eclipses here, and then there's Eagle Talons here. So like maybe one was built in America and one was built in Japan or something. Like one was imported, one wasn't. I don't know what the rules are or anything like that.
Gotcha.
That's
a
a cool car, though.
It's a really nice looking car.
Yeah, I would drive it.
I appreciate his thoughtfulness in terms of relating it to the movie. Just I don't know if I just didn't Google it right or whatever, but
I would have never got Eagle.
Yeah.
I would have never got it. Like even like if I would have gotten it, it would have been on like the Jaguar tip, and I had no idea. Like I just didn't even know Eagle still existed. But that was a really tough one.
Thank you, Wes, for running in. If you have a car picture that you want us to guess, that you want Joe to guess, that in my minimal car knowledge, you want me to describe, family@cageclub.me.
I still have fun.
Send in your rankings, your thoughts on this episode. We are going to record again in about 2.5 weeks. So you've got time, actually 2.5 weeks from when we're recording. So we'll probably record about a week after the episode comes out. So if you want to email in, family@cageclub.me, leave us a review on iTunes, head over to Patreon, help us fund our 1327 party. It's happening, whether we have to pay for it out of pockets or not. We would love for you to be there. Well, thank you, Mike, for joining us for this ride-along lap. Once again, we got 2 more episodes. One great movie and one not-so-great movie. But maybe one of these times we'll be like, oh, now I love Fate of the Furious.
Yeah, it's going to click, I think, eventually.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be this time. I mean, for me, so far, this lap, it's been part 4 has really moved up on that list for me so far. But I've been having so much fun riding along with you guys, and this was a lot of fun
having you
tonight.
In the back seat, brother. Yeah,
it was great rewatching 6 every time. I could watch. Oh man, I could watch this forever. So, and you guys will be watching it forever. So
we will be.
We will.
I hope that you are mentally, if not on Letterboxd or wherever, keeping a list of your order, your ranking, because when we do Fate of the Furious, we're going to have you at the end of that episode rank the 8 movies again. Because I think you wrote in a while ago with your rankings. We might have quizzed you again here at the beginning of the lap. But at the end, after we talk about them all over a span of like 3 or 4 months, we need to know where they all fall. So just get ready. Get the wheels a turning in your brain, because in 2 episodes, we're coming for you.
I'll be ready.
For all things Too Fast, Too Forever, and all 25 shows on the podcast network, you can go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/cageclub, or at cageclubpod on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Too Fast, Too Forever. If you want me and Mike to watch a movie that's not Fast and Furious, go to patreon.com/cageclub, and you can control us over there if you want to do that. Check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/Too Fast, Too Forever. The important thing, family@cageclub.me, facebook.com/Too Fast, Too Forever, and patreon.com/Too Fast, Too Forever. Just say hi, email in. We'd love to hear from you. Shout out Justin for writing in, new listener, new writer inner.
Appreciate it, man.
Shout out Wes, shout out Cassie, shout out Adult Spice on Patreon. All of you who make the mailbag what it is. Thank you for listening. And we'll be back in 2 weeks, of course, with Furious 7. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe, too.
And that was the Mikestir, and we will be back in 2 weeks on April 9th for Furious 7, right here on Too Fast, Too Forever.